Welcome back, folks. It's another great day here on Valiant Renegade. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Share this sucker out on the social medias. And do leave a comment before you head out today. Because this is where Hollywood comes to get put through the business and financial lens of reality. It's time. Renegade Online. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another fine Sunday afternoon right here live at 5 for the Renegade Nation. Good to see everybody out there once again. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. We've got some stories to go through before we begin. Of course, as always, please do us a solid. Hit the like button if you're watching on X. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Hit the share button. Send it out to X. If you're watching here from YouTube, or repost it from X, send it out to Facebook. Whatever else you got, whatever else you want to do, we appreciate it. And, of course, if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a little moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray. Help us out here. We are continuing to grow, pushing towards 100,000. YouTube is not being very kind this year. Talking to a lot of friends in the last few days, apparently going through a lot of the same trials and tribulations that I have been with this channel. YouTube is deleting like 1,000 subscribers here on this channel at Valiant Renegade every month. Just about 1,000 every month. So we get 1,000, 1,500, we lose 1,000 plus. It's like we're treading water now. It's all the new YouTube bullshit and algorithms. Every year they change it up. But this audience, the most intelligent, well-informed audience out there when it comes to the business of Hollywood, we appreciate each and every one of you. You guys make this happen. Hell of a day. I'm a little, I'm recovering. I decided, I was like, let me go out. I've got to do some yard work earlier today, and I about burnt myself into the ground. So, whew, it was hot as hell. Just kind of getting my feet under me from there, and good to be back here for the show. Hope this is going to be a great one for everybody. A lot of folks out there already chiming in the chat, the super chats, the membership gifting. We'll get to all of that. Got to get through some business here when it comes to box office. Let's do that, or at least dive into this real quick, and start talking about this. You know, I was lauding praise on Nobody 2 a few days ago. Went to go see it Thursday night. Absolutely a great movie. I am a huge fan of the first one. The second one did not disappoint. I would highly encourage everybody to go check that out. You know, didn't do great this weekend, but not really surprising, because this is not a movie that gets a lot of money pumped behind it in terms of marketing. This is kind of one of those small, not really indie films, but borderline indie type films. It travels down the same vein as John Wick. The first couple of ones there that didn't have huge box offices, but became big cult classics in the post-theatrical world, for streaming, for PVOD, for physical media. I think Nobody 2 is going to see a lot of the kind of the same thing over the next several years. The first movie came out very early in the post-COVID era, did about $55-60 million at the global box office. I think Nobody 2 is probably going to pull in somewhere close to the same, hopefully a little bit more. But this is one of these movies that is so much fun. This is what makes us all love going to the theater. It's worth every penny to go to the theater to see this one. And, you know, it's a very low threshold for studios to get over. And that's what we applaud about it. And especially considering the fact that this movie gets one of those very lucrative streaming deals with third-party partners like Netflix. Again, for those of you out there that it's been a little while since you heard this, or maybe you're brand new to the channel, there's a big difference out there between our assessments, our financial assessments for companies like Disney, who own the IP that they create and turn into movies, put it into theaters with their own in-house distribution channel, and then self-consume everything on the back end when it comes to streaming. Most other studios out there, most other distributors out there don't work as proprietary as Disney does. And this is why we put them in a little bit different lens, because they have real money coming in from third parties with real cash flows, with sales. Nobody 2 is going to be one of those. I mentioned on X earlier this past week that, Nobody 2 cost a paltry $25 million to put together. The first movie cost about $16 million. These are very, very low risk investments for companies. And to that end, the reality is that the guys at Universal with this movie, they've already got cash in hand, or at least a promise of cash in hand due to a pre-existing contract from third parties like Netflix. So basically the $25 million that was spent to shoot this film was already paid for by Netflix before they sold a single movie ticket, right? Can't say that about every single film out there, but when you get these lower cost, lower risk type things, this is already money in the bank. Let me pull this up. Let's get into the box office. Let's talk about this and show everybody here. And then we're going to talk about Superman. Apparently, we have more things to address. Honestly, I know there's a war out there on social media between the diehard James Gunn fans and the Snyder Bros. And honestly, I think the debate right now is really which side of this equation is more insufferable. And what I want to be clear in that, if you liked the new James Gunn Superman, or if you preferred the Zack Snyder varieties from 10, 12 years ago, that's fine. I'm not talking about you. What I am talking about is the breed of folk on each side of that aisle that go to the nth degree, that go to the extreme, and are absolutely savaging each other in one of the most exhausting manners possible for the normies out there. In terms of what movie was successful, how much money did Man of Steel make versus new Superman movie. It's ridiculous. We've been very level-headed and even grounded here on Valiant Renegade, as we always endeavor to be. And we're going to go through that tonight, because I'm sick of all the absolute nonsense out there. I don't know if I've ever seen this in my nearly 5 years on YouTube to this degree, where my Twitter feed, my X feed, is absolutely littered with lunacy out there. And we have tried to bring sense and reason, as we always do, to the debate. But there's too many people out there that are not interested in sense and reason. They're simply interested in stumping for their boy out there, whether it's James Gunn or whether it's Zack Snyder. And yeah, I'm going to kind of revisit some of this Superman going to PVOD early thing. So stay tuned. We'll get to that. And of course, Fantastic Four is winding down. It may actually eke out to 500 million, but maybe a couple of million more. You get to this point and you see what happens in the theaters. It's a little bit difficult. I'd previously said last week that I think 500 million is now all but off the table. It may still be a little bit on the table, but it ain't going to be by much. I mean, we're not talking about, it'll get to 525 or 530 or 550. That ain't happening. And Disney's going to have another big loss. And we're going to talk about the differences between the losses here with Fantastic Four, again, to remind everybody, versus what's going on with Superman. Because no matter if you loved or hated Superman, I don't care either way. This year from James Gunn and Warner Brothers, the reality is that it is from all aspects of not only the box office, but also the ancillary business. Based on all the available data that we have, it's a far more successful film than was Fantastic Four. Obviously, given the Gunn versus Snyder debate, right there alone, at least people are still talking about the damn thing. Nobody's talking about Fantastic Four. But let's pull up the box office here. Let's talk about Nobody 2. And then we got to talk about Weapons. Weapons, if you haven't seen that, another highly recommended piece. That is doing extremely well. It won the box office this weekend again. And for good reason. And then we got to talk about Netflix later because Netflix is getting stomped over. There are new kings in town. And they are unequivocally David Zaslav of Warner Brothers and the newest of the new set of Hollywood kings, of course, David Ellison. The two Davids out there. There is going to be a big shift. And I'm going to tell you later that I think Netflix had better start rethinking itself soon. We'll talk about that. Let's get here to Nobody 2. Let's get to the box office. All right. I loved this movie. I loved the first movie, and I love this movie. Neither of these films is ever going to light the box office on fire. But this goes to show right here the amount of business savvy and the brilliance of you don't have to spend a small fortune or the GDP of a third world country to wind up making a film that people love. Yes, it has a limited audience because of the style of the film. But for those people out there who are like me that love this type of film, this kick-ass, this regular average Joe dude that is Hutch, played by Bob Odenkirk, that goes out and I'm on vacation. I'm just here to protect my family and beats the crap out of the bad guys. This is not a complicated film, but it is a ton of fun. As I said on Twitter, on X earlier this week, a couple of days ago after I saw it, this is 90 minutes of 95 octane testosterone and hell yes. It's a ton of fun. And I love the fact out there that I was, unwittingly introducing a lot of this audience to the first film, which they'd never seen. Our good buddy out there, Marcus Quintus, who's probably in the audience tonight. Marcus had never seen this. Marcus, who's a retired cop, he's like, I never even heard of this. I'm like, dude, go see it. Go watch and he wound up watching the first one. And then Marcus, I hope you got to go see the second one this weekend. These movies are just fun. They're pure fun. And there was a lot of debate on there about, did it go girl boss in the end? And you guys know me. I typically don't do movie reviews. It is rare that I will sit here and actually give you my critique on the artistic merit of a film or what happened in a movie, because I don't want to lock myself into being another one of those guys on YouTube. And there's nothing wrong with those guys on YouTube. Look, Gary, Nerdrotic, Will, Critical Drinker, these guys are outstanding. I love what they do. I don't want to compete with them because they do what they do so damn well. And I don't have the time to do what they do. I don't want to do what they do. But occasionally out there, when it comes to a movie like this that I'm really excited about, and there's a number of them coming up that I'm excited about, I'm going to give you my commentary on it. But when it came to this, Connie Nielsen, who plays Becca, Hutch's wife, Hutch right there, Bob Odenkirk. Becca, she's got a really simple but very good character arc. And I'd go so far as to say, I think the reason this worked is because Becca, she's kind of that ideal wife that every man husband hopes for. And what I mean by that is that she adores and loves her husband. She didn't know much about Hutch and him getting back into his business as one of the world's uh, best assassins, wet works operators out there. And that's kind of the gist of the film. Bob Odenkirk is he's a normal average guy by day, but he's got this history of who he was that gets turned back on in the first movie. The second movie, by the end of the first movie, Becca knows what's going on. There's a great scene at the end of it where they're shopping for a new house, and she's like, but does it have a basement? She's all in now. She loves her husband. She knows what she does. She doesn't like the fact that he's still engaged in it, but she still loves him. And there's this scene at the beginning of Nobody 2 that I really, really loved. And it was so simple. It was so simple, but it was so effective. And for those of you who've seen it, you probably know what I'm talking about. There's this moment where, Hutch it's in the elevator scene. He's beating up a bunch of guys, and Hutch starts texting Becca, hey, gonna be late coming home tonight. I'm sorry, or something along those lines. And Becca starts texting him back, and she starts texting him with this kind of angry text that she starts typing, and you see it, and it's just, I wish you'd do this, or I can't believe you're going to be late again, and all this. And you see, of course, Bob Odenkirk just sees the ellipsis on his iPhone as the typing is happening. And then Becca stops, and then she pauses, she thinks better of it, and she deletes it. And you see Bob Odenkirk's face where he's holding his breath, hoping that his wife is not mad at him. And in that moment, Becca just simply corrects herself, and she goes, I love you, come home safe, or something like that. And that was it. And you see this sigh of relief when Hutch gets the text message. That's kind of how the movie starts. And there were people complaining about how at the end that Becca had her moment, and it was considered girl boss, which I wholeheartedly and respectfully completely disagree with that assessment. I thought it was well earned. Sharon Stone does a great role in this movie as the big bad because Sharon Stone is nuts. It was almost typecast, but she fit really well into it. It was kind of funny because you had Sharon Stone in this one. You had Michael Ironsides in the first movie, so it was kind of like a bit of a reunion there for Total Recall for the bad guys. Except Michael Ironsides, of course, in the first one didn't play a bad guy. But it's a lot of fun. And people are kind of critiquing the fact that she kind of stepped up and made a big moment in the end of the third act. But this movie is still unequivocally for the boys. It's still unequivocally Raza. It's still unequivocally Christopher Lloyd, Doc from Back to the Future, who I loved seeing with the hand crank Gatling gun. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's great. It's still a movie for the boys. Yes, Connie Nielsen, Becca, the wife, Hutch's wife, has her moment at the end, but I didn't even think twice about it. It was totally earned. I was applauding when she got her moment. She totally earned it, being Hutch's devoted wife. And that's what I loved about this, is that this is a movie about a guy who loves his family. And even though he's got the history he does, he's still just your average dad, trying to be a good dad, trying to raise his son, trying to raise his daughter in the midst of all the chaos that keeps finding him. And it's so much fun. I love every minute of it. I can't recommend it enough. But let's talk about the box office here. Not great, right? By the grand scheme of things. $14 million on its opening weekend globally. Again, a $25 million production budget that was, for all intents and purposes, already paid for up front by the big multi-year billion-dollar contract that Universal has with Netflix. Okay? Not to mention the fact, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the first Nobody movie made 2 or 3 times as much money for Universal on PVOD and streaming licensing and physical media as it did in the theaters. I think this movie is going to be kind of the same thing. But I would love to see this continue to just stretch out in the theaters. Again, the first movie finished up in the upper 50 million globally. Not a big number. But again, the first movie only cost $16 million to make. So they don't spend a lot of money here for marketing these things. So this is a cash machine for Universal. Nick's out there. Nick, I tell you what, I'm going to send Nick the link. I haven't seen Nick in an age. If he wants to hop in here, if you can, dude, I'm going to send it to the EBN. I'm going to send it to the EBN thing, which I think I still have. There you go. Nick, you got it. Hop in if you want. We got to go through some box office stuff. We're going to have some guests joining us later. I'm hoping our good buddy Brett Desovic is going to be here at the top of the next hour, along with the great Paul Chatto, who just got his Canadian ass back on X, thanks to a lot of folks out there stumping to get his account unlocked. We're going to get Paul to come in here. We're going to have a conversation about Netflix, about theatrical, the Duffer Brothers, or the Doofer Brothers, whatever you want to call them. Doofy. The Duffer Brothers leaving, the Stranger Things guys leaving Netflix now because of the what they were promised by David Ellison, one of the new kings of Hollywood. Netflix, I think, is going to have to make a big change here in the next couple of years as theatrical comes back. We're going to talk about all that, so stay tuned. But nobody again, not making any big waves here. But in the first 3 days, it's got about $7 or $8 million back in the till, thanks to the heavy weighting towards the domestic box office, which is about a third of its production costs. And again, at $25 million, I can almost guarantee you that the portion of the Netflix contract that they have with Universal for this film that's going to get allocated, from the grand scheme of things, is probably going to be worth more than $25 million for Universal. So as I stated earlier, this movie basically already had all of its costs covered before a single movie ticket was sold. That being said, I would love to see this do what John Wick did in its franchise over time, going from what it did in the first John Wick film to the second, to the third, to the fourth. I don't know if we'll get a third and fourth movie with Nobody 2, but I would love to see it happen because these movies are an absolute riot load of fun. Absolutely awesome fun. All right, let's get into some of the other box office. We got to do this. Let's talk about some of the other ones on the roster here that, they're not going to be huge summer blockbusters, but they are enormous wins. As we've stated, Warner Brothers is just taking the cake this year. David Zaslav and what we're finally seeing in 2025 is arguably the first complete slate of films and projects that were greenlit from the time David Zaslav got involved at Warner Brothers. We're seeing that this year, okay? Disney is having a terrible year. There's no way around this. Barring Lilo and Stitch, of course, which, as we've stated before, at Lilo and Stitch, even the $200 to $300 million, I have to go back and look, probably about $200 million or $250 million in profit that Lilo and Stitch has turned at the box office has been all but completely obliterated by virtually nothing but Elio alone that came out a few weeks later. This is another one that it's not doing that well, but we're not going to complain about it too hard because it's doing enough, right? This is one of these films that's doing enough. And we talked about this a week or two ago when this came out. Freakier Friday. It's at about $86 million globally now. That means that probably somewhere around, given the split between domestic and international, probably somewhere around 45, maybe as high as 50 million, because it is far more loaded towards the domestic side of things. That's come back in. This is a movie that has about a $35 to $40 million budget for production alone with Disney. I'm not sure how much more they spent on the marketing side. Maybe another 20 to 30 million. If I don't even know if it's quite that much. The thing is, though, is that Disney created this movie. They got Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan back into the fray because Disney felt like they could maybe pick up on even just a bit of that Barbie mayhem that happened a couple of years ago in the summer with Oppenheimer. That really didn't happen. This was a movie, as we told you last week, was mostly visited, tickets bought by Gen Z or millennial women, childless women that went to go see this. This was not a movie that the daughters got brought to in any significant numbers, which is the exact opposite of what happened with Barbie. So Disney has certainly covered its cost here. They'll be fine. They'll break even. They may make a little bit of money on PVOD here later on down the road. I'm not going to call this a bomb. It's not a bomb. It's not a flop. It's nothing like that. It's just there. It's just simply there. But unlike Nobody 2 or unlike Weapons, which we'll get to in a minute, there's nobody else writing a check to the Walt Disney Company to cover the costs of this film's production and marketing. All right. We get that with Weapons. You got that with Nobody 2. You're not getting that with Freakier Friday because this thing is going to get farted right back out on Disney Plus, which, again, like we just stated, if moms and dads are not bringing the kids to this, or really moms are not bringing daughters to go see this film, what is the likelihood that this movie is going to be any type of big success once it hits Disney Plus, when Disney Plus, frankly, doesn't have the audience there that is geared towards tuning into this? If the audience going to see this in the theater are 20 and 30 and 40-year-old women with no children, because they're not bringing them. If they got them, they're not bringing them. They don't have them. These are Disney adults. This is the low yield audience. This is the low rent audience that occasionally will tune into Disney Plus, right? So this isn't going to be a big help for them. It's just out there. It's going to be forgotten within a few months. This is another thing for Disney this year that honestly nobody's talking about. Look at the last 2 weekends. Regardless of the box office, all of the conversation has been centered around Weapons. This weekend, there's a lot of praise going out there for Nobody 2. Nobody's talking about Freakier Friday. It's out there. It's just out there. It's just there. So Disney is not going to suffer any kind of losses on this film, but it's not going to really help them in the long run either. So, there you have it. Now, we got to get to Weapons. But before we do, I want to grab some of these super chats that came in. If you got some super chats and some membership gifting, now's the time to send them in. I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to try to get through as many of these as I can. And of course, we'll get to all of them. We appreciate everybody's support out there. You guys pay the bills here on Valiant Renegade. And we've got some great guests coming in here in about 30 minutes. Hopefully Brett will make it. Paul Chatto should be here shortly. And then Ron Coleman will be coming in a bit later because, as people keenly observed, there was a lot going on in the censorship war. And this time, the knives were turned at 4chan, I believe, by the UK. And, Ron Coleman's name is actually attached. He is involved as legal representation in this suit. So want to have Ron here later on to help us kind of figure out what's going on with this. I think it'll be a lot of fun. As always, we do try to bring a lot of high-level education to our folks out there. Okay. So we've got here at the top of the order, Snarky, thank you very much for gifting 5 Valiant Renegade channel memberships. Much appreciated, my friend. Thank you, Snarky. And Araxis also gifted 5 Valiant Renegade channel memberships. Thank you so damn much. We appreciate you packing protons for 2. Snarky with the sniper shot. Yes, indeed. Ben Mutt for 5. Good evening, Valiant Renegade Nation. Been fracking hot up here. How you doing in Louisiana? Well, yeah, I can imagine if Arkansas is bad, it's worse down here, dude. I promise you. It's hot. I was outside today with the lawnmower. It was kicking my ass. Hollywood Burns for 35 South African rands. Ellison just gave Kurtzman a take it or leave it low ball deal. for Trek. It's up to Kurtzman, but this is a very bad idea, keeping him in the fray. They're probably trying to separate themselves from a legal contract in the most financially efficient manner possible, which is, it's one of these things to where, hey, lowball the guy, practically insult him, and see if he takes it. Why not? I know out there everybody wants to do the screw Alex Kurtzman. He destroyed Star Trek. He's a shitty studio head. He's a bad showrunner. All of those things are absolutely true. But you have to put that, or you have to leave that at the door. You have to leave that stuff at the water's edge, because you still have to run a business here, right? And David Ellison just sunk billions and billions and billions of dollars into Paramount. You already see what he's doing. We'll talk about this later. He doesn't want to have to unnecessarily spend hundreds of millions more if he doesn't have to. Okay? So it's tough. I know people want it to happen, but money's money. Jim Butler for 2. Rest in peace, Terrence Stamp. I saw this. General Zod from, the original Richard Donner Superman's Terrence Stamp has passed away. Godspeed. What a great actor. Medmutt gifted 5 Valiant Renegade channel memberships. Thank you, Medmutt. We appreciate you. Scott Westbrook also gifted 5 Valiant Renegade channel memberships. Thank you, good sir. And Tender Warrior gifted 5 Valiant Renegade channel memberships. We thank you very, very much. Jeremiah Hembry, you need to talk about Roblox and how they go after kids, and Paul back on X. Well, we are. Paul will be here in a little later. The Roblox thing, I think we'll probably pick that up on Renegade Nation later this week. But yeah, there's a lot going on there. William Thompson gifted 10 Valiant Renegade channel memberships. Thank you for the $50 super chat, William Thompson. And Wonko the Sane gifted a Valiant Renegade channel membership. Thank you, guys. Let me give you something for that, and then we'll get back into...
Remember when the children would gather around the TV to watch Disney Plus? Mom and Dad would watch Hulu. Well, now, all of that's going away. From the company who's brought you so many bad ideas like Disney Star Wars and post-in-game Marvel, the Walt Disney Company will now bring you a new streaming service. But don't worry, we'll still have all your favorites, and we'll still have great programming, even for the modern audience. Coming in 2026, like a long-lost friend on the other end of the telephone line.
Who dis?
That's right, Disney's new streaming service, because we simply can't hide the billions of dollars of losses on Disney Plus by itself anymore.
There you go. Sorry. I was trying to shovel in some food while that was going on. I haven't got a chance to eat today. I try not to eat on stream, but I was like, good Lord, I'm not going to make it through this show if I don't get something in. So, all right, let's get back to this. Let's get back to weapons. Out there in the chat, y'all let me know. Type it in. Have you seen Weapons? Yes or no? If you have, let me know. If you went to go see Nobody this weekend, let me know that too. This movie is killing it. Absolutely killing it. I saw it last weekend. It's great. It's great. If you have a lot of no's out there, good. Here's an opportunity. Go check it out. If you like the horror genre, right? I get it. Horror movies, things like this are not everybody's cup of tea. And this is why things like horror and rom-com, we don't expect $300, $400, $500, $600 million, billion box offices for these kind of movies. That's why these things are graded on a different scale. They're graded against other horror movies, right? If a movie comes out from Pixar or Walt Disney Animation, or if a movie comes out from an animated film comes out from Illumination or DreamWorks, those kind of go together, right? But, a superhero movie like Fantastic Four, or even a big action movie like F1, you can't put movies like Nobody and Weapons in the same category. Different audience. It's a much more limited audience. Okay. So here's the thing. $150 million after 10 days. This is a banger. This is a movie that we want to remind folks that had an investment by Warner Brothers for $38 million. And I want to kind of go through the highlights of the story again, because I think this is an amazing story. And there's two layers to this, right? There is, okay, you've got the film creators on one side, and then you've got the studio that paid to buy this movie and distribute it. It's different than, say, Fantastic Four or Superman even, because that's a movie where the IPs are owned by the studio and, by extension, the distributor, Disney in this case, Warner Brothers in the case of Superman, Disney in the case of Fantastic Four. This is something where it was being shopped out there. And if you recall, we talked about this earlier in the week, Netflix was on the docket. Netflix actually offered more money to Mr. Krager for this. This was his movie. Offered more money than Warner Brothers. Why then did Warner Brothers get the business? Warner Brothers got the business because, number one, they have a very, very good track record with distributing horror films, which was big. And number two, and the big reason that even though Netflix offered more money, and we don't know exactly how much more, but it was a decent bit from what I've heard, even though Netflix offered more money than the $38 million that was offered by Warner Brothers for this film, the fact is Warner Brothers guaranteed contractually a theatrical release. So for the people who made this film, all right, Mr. Krager and his crew, the $38 million they got paid covered all the costs to produce the film, and Krager walked out of there with $10 million in his pocket in basically profit for his screenwriting, his production credits, and him directing it. So, I mean, he made out like a bandit. All right. Then it became Warner Brothers. It became a problem, not really a problem, but it became on the backs of Warner Brothers to pick up the slack. And then, okay, now we have to make the $38 million back we paid to get this. It's done. Clearly, it's done. They did it basically in the first weekend. They got all their production costs back. And you can best believe that they probably didn't spend a whole hell of a lot of money, maybe another $20, $30 million marketing this film. A lot of social media on this one. Horror movies don't typically spend a ton of money to market because the horror audience is already kind of built in. The fact that this movie already has nearly $150 million after 10 days is big. I mean, real big. Real big. Warner Brothers is, I mean, this is the year of David Zaslav. It is the year of Warner Brothers right now at the box office. They are firing on all cylinders. They are absolutely killing it. Their overall profit margin just at the box office alone this year is stupid good. You know, Disney's $500 million plus in the hole. Warner Brothers is probably $500 million ahead in the black. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers. I need to crunch them down, but it's probably not too far off from that. When you take everything, even including Superman, which it's not going to make a profit at the box office, but we're going to get back to that here in just a bit. Because again, the debate on that film between the Snyder Bros and the James Gunn people it's almost insufferable at this point. But Weapons is doing phenomenally well. It's got about, you consider the breakdown between its 90 million domestically and about 60 million internationally. I mean, this thing probably has about $80 million thereabout in the bank on a $38 million investment from Warner Brothers. Hey, not including, of course, again, throw another 20, maybe $30 million in there for marketing. Even if you doubled it, even if they spent $40 million to market this film, which that'd probably be an extreme top end. They've already covered their costs. But go see this if you haven't seen it yet. I would highly encourage it out there. Again, we got a big audience tonight. It looks like we have a lot of folks watching on X, which is great. We've got almost 1,000 people watching on X, apparently, when we've got about 700 on YouTube. Hey, if you're watching on X and you want to get engaged in the conversation, it's over here on YouTube. We've got the link out there posted on X for you to come in and join us over here on YouTube. And we've got this one, $50 from Snarky. Here's to the Seattle Seahawks stomping all of your teams this year. Are you ready for some football? There we go. Funny enough, I've got the current and former Seahawks quarterback on one of my fantasy teams. I got Sam Darnold and Geno Smith. I think Sam Darnold's over there now. Geno Smith was there, last year? Dude, it's crazy. Thank you very much, Starkey. Let me give you something a little special for that one. We appreciate you. How about a little Whites Only Laundry?
Hi, I'm Tom Michaels, and I want to invite you to my new laundromat, Whites Only Laundry. We specialize in only washing in white laundry, so your linens, socks, and undershirts will look fresher than ever. By focusing just on white laundry, our prices are 25% lower than the other guys. Plus, get an extra 10% discount by singing our slogan at the register. Hope to see you soon. Hi, it's Tom again from the laundromat that's been in the news, and I really want to apologize. I definitely should have realized that the name Whites Only Laundry sounds racist, is racist, and that was not my intention at all. But we've changed the name and fixed the problem. Whites Only Laundry is now no coloreds laundry. It still gets across that we can't wash colored clothes without any of the racial connotations of whites only. Plus, to make up for our terrible mistake, come on in before Friday and you'll get yourself a free t-shirt. Just don't wash it here because it has all these colors on it.
There you have it. Appreciate it. Thank you, Snarky. All right. Let's get to the nitty-gritty on this stuff. Because we got to talk about Superman and Fantastic Four. And this is probably going to be one of the last conversations we have on these two films because they're pretty much done. We got news a few days ago that Warner Brothers was going to pull the chain on this one in terms of going to PVOD 10 days earlier than it was originally slated to, at 45 days, right? I felt like bad idea. I still do. Short-term gain, long-term loss. Why tell your audience out there? Why train your audience to just kind of sit tight, right? There's two sides to this argument. We talked about it Wednesday. One side to the argument is strike while the iron's hot. Go to PVOD early while you still have a lot of marketing capital that is out there in social media, right? The movie has not busted any records. The movie has not covered all the costs of production and marketing, right? It's about $50 million net shy. Meaning that, like we said before, this movie probably needed to get close to $700 million to cover the cost. But James Gunn said that was bullshit. Okay, we explained this already. I think part of the reason James Gunn was saying that is because internally on the books, on studios like Warner Brothers, they have other sources of ancillary revenue that they project besides the box office. Figures, like exact figures that we'll never see unless the studio actually puts them out there, which is rare. Part of that is the PVOD stuff, right? We talked about before how Universal was able to scoop up about $100 million in net income from PVOD sales of Wicked. Now, Wicked finished with about $750 million, if I'm not mistaken, from last year. So they're hoping that, hey, if Superman can even do half of that, if Superman can pull $50 million in on PVOD, we're good, right? Everything beyond that and down the road is gravy. So that's one side. Not to mention the fact, as we told you Wednesday on the show, that part of this movie, and part of the cost and revenue allocation is coming from recently renewed licensing contracts with Mattel. Mattel, who has the license to create. Sorry, the dogs are barking. Hopefully you guys can't hear them. But from Mattel, for the guys who have the license to create DC toys. So that's, when Warner Brothers came in back, I think they renewed it in early 23. They renewed the contract again early this year. Part of that, and of course, these things take years. You have to get years in advance. You have to get in line years ahead of time. If you're saying, hey, we're going to have a new line or a new set of movies with Superman, Supergirl, this character, that character, they don't just start making these things a few months before the movies come out. They have to get into a queue years in advance. So theoretically, in early 2023, and we showed you all the article, y'all go Google it, see for yourself, where Warner Brothers, DC, and Mattel re-signed a contract in 2023. A big part of that contract, and that was they probably paid more money than they did the last time they signed a contract, because they knew Warner Brothers was going to start making new stuff. And part of the reason, whether you like it or not, that I think they made the Superman film clearly much more geared towards younger audiences is because they wanted to sell toys. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it is what it is. This was the decision. So part of what James Gunn talks about where, hey, we don't need $700 million to make our money back, is because he's not just looking at box office. If we were just looking at box office, which we typically do here because that's all we've got public data on a consistent basis, that it needs $700 million. Now, it's going to finish up a little north of $600 million. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about $650, which I think was definitely in the range. The problem is, of course, then they started announcing the release of PVOD. And that is going to suppress some of that box office and keep it from probably getting up to where they originally were thinking it was going to be a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago. Okay, fine. Can PVOD make up the gap? Probably so. That being said, I still don't like this because, like I said before, this trains audiences to curtail their theatrical behavior, right? Now, if you're one person right now, right, because Superman doesn't have PLFs anymore. They don't have IMAX anymore. They haven't had those for a couple of weeks. Your average Superman ticket right now on Sunday, August 17th, is probably something like $13 or $12. Still a good bit of money compared to years ago. If you go in the daytime, you get a discount. You go on Discount Tuesday or something like that. Maybe you're getting in for less than $10 in the middle of the day. Granted. So if right now you got Superman on PVOD for $29.95, even when you take out Amazon and Apple's, say, average 25% takedown, 30% in the case of Apple, right? You're still walking away with about $20 a copy. That's at least 2 tickets to Superman right now. So this is, and again, I'm trying to get into the head of the distribution people. And I will remind folks yet again, James Gunn, with this story about, well, they wanted it to come out. They didn't know the release schedule for Peacemaker Season 2. And they wanted this movie to come out on PVOD before Peacemaker Season 2 started. Whatever. The bottom line is, again, for y'all out there that think I'm trying to sit here and defend James Gunn to the ends of the earth, no. but we call it like we see it. The ultimate situation here is that J.B. Perrette is the head of distribution at Warner Brothers. J.B. Perrette is the man who makes the decisions as far as when things hit on streaming, as far as when things hit on PVOD. James Gunn could have called him and said, hey, I want this to happen. But J.B. Perrette could have said no. But he did it. So if you want to blame somebody for this movie coming out early, we've got to be fair. As big a fan as J.B. Perrette as I am, ultimately this decision is on J.B., okay, to bring this out early. Does that mean this movie is a flop? In the strictest sense of the words, in terms of looking at the box office, I guess, sure, you could say it was a flop. It did not make its money back at the box office, but that's not how Warner Brothers is looking at it. And Warner Brothers does not do their secondary and tertiary lines of distribution, meaning post-theatrical, in the same manner that the Walt Disney Company does. That's why we look at these differently, right? Warner Brothers has even been licensing out the DC library to Netflix, because we saw them on Netflix. They popped up there 6-7 months ago. So they're collecting money from third parties. But the one that isn't going to collect any more money, the one that definitely is a flop, that has nowhere else to go, that is not selling any toys, not doing anything for the merchandising contract with Hasbro in this case, is this movie right here. I don't care if you thought it was good. There's nowhere left for this to go. There really isn't. We got a few guests joining us backstage. I got to switch my audio input here. Hang on one second, because I'm still waiting on my new output device, the one that burned up a couple of weeks ago from a power spike. I was supposed to be here Thursday. Still not here. Now it's supposed to be here tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. I think that should do it. Let's see. Hopefully this is it. When they come in, I'll be able to hear them. What's up, Pro?
What's up? What's up? Can you hear me?
There you are. Yep, I got you. Hang on. Adjusting. There you go. Gotcha.
Hopefully I didn't blow out any eardrums when I came in.
Nope, all good. And I need about 2 minutes here, so perfect timing. We have another guest joining us, somebody that's been away from social media for a little while, but I'm glad he's here. And he's joining us now from our, for those crazy Canadian people, and he is one of the best representatives. Paul Chatto joining us.
Nice to be representing the Great White North. The Jays lost today, but overall doing very well.
Well, yeah, there you go. Are the Jays? Are they? I can't remember. Are they American or national?
The American League.
American League. Okay.
Top of the MLB.
Yep. There you go. It's even more ironic that the Toronto Blue Jays are in the American League as opposed to the
National
League. What are you trying to say? That Canada's in North America. It counts.
Yeah.
No, not really. Not really. No. Good to have you back, Paul. How you been?
Nice to have been back. It's like if I'm not on X, then I'm nothing to you.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I thought about it because I usually do the Sunday shows, and people know that I'm usually strapping these together at the last minute. Because I'm so busy, and then I just go right to that.
You
use
a strap on Sundays.
Yes.
What?
Yes, I don't strap the shows together.
Or
strap on until
I thought you meant you use a strap on. Okay.
Yes. See, this is why we missed Paul.
That's right. Because my brain works in mysterious ways.
I can't imagine how he got banned off X in the first place.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I get salty on Pro's show, so he's afraid of me. I don't do it on purpose.
We love you, Paul. You can listen. You can say whatever you want to say.
I know. I try to be good because
we only ask that you're funny.
No, Jonas is squeamish when
Oh yeah,
talking about things.
Oh,
when you say dirty words like wankle rotary motor, Jonas just freaks out.
Wankled rotary engine. I think that was in a Monty Python bit years ago.
That's right. That's on the record.
Yes.
Dirty words. Wankle rotary motor.
Yes.
You're good. That does sound good. It sounds dirty. It does.
It does.
Sexy.
It really, really does. Sexy. I tell you what, can you do me a favor, Pro? I have to make a phone call here. My wife is kind of giving me the please call me ASAP. I just want to make sure.
He's got a 911 call. All right, man, we'll take over and I'll just say this.
Talk about Fantastic Four and where we're going with this.
No, I don't want to.
In just a minute.
I don't want to. I get control of this show. I'm not talking about this terrible movie. I'm done with it.
Okay. Well, talk about what you want to then. I'll be right back.
All right, folks. Well, since he's heading out, we'll put it back up on the screen just so he thinks that's what we're covering. Paul, I'll tell you one thing. I think, they can kiss this goodbye. If folks, if you look at the very bottom of that screen that Valiant has for us, you'll see that this Fantastic Four is now below even what was the potentiality that the numbers had predicted. So that area of tannish color. Come on, numbers. Come up with some better color palettes. But
I like how that graph kind of looks like a whale.
Yes.
That thin part is the lower mouth, and then the big fat part is the whaley part.
Well, it's definitely what is it that whales eat?
Krill.
Well, this movie's eating krill. It's not eating tickets, that's for sure. Paul, what I think happened here with Fantastic Four and why Superman is getting out when it is because I think that Superman, James Gunn, DC, they all decided that they were going to break 600 million. They didn't believe that they were going to get 650, 700. So go out with one last headline, then keep the headlines rolling with talk about streaming. Has the biggest streaming movie ever from DC, blah, blah, blah. You know the game. But I think partly, too, what caused them to get out is they realized Fantastic Four First Steps is not going to break $500 million. I mean, this thing has already flatlined, and it's just incredibly bad for Disney because the domestic box office is not going to break 300 million. This is a total collapse. And I'm even starting to see some websites covering sort of the stages of grief that the influencers are going through now because they thought they could build this movie up into something. They thought that they could tell you that Pedro Pascal was the internet's daddy. He's the peepaw, darn it. And turns out they don't have that power.
I think Marvel's at the point where too much is being expected from every movie. I would put it to you. I enjoyed the movie. It had its problems, but it's still a comic book movie. For God's sakes, anyone who remembers reading comic books remembers just how silly they were. And so we shouldn't be, it's an expertly done movie. It's put together. There are things you can disagree with, and I'm not going to go into those kinds of things. But I would put it to you that if Marvel was chugging along just fine, then this would have been a fine addition. The problem is, as we've talked about endlessly, the brand is broken. We don't trust it. And so when they bring out a movie that is just okay, and there's nothing wrong with a just okay movie, then it's going to get pummeled. That to me is ultimately the issue. There's many aspects of Fantastic Four that I liked better than Superman. Superman is silly in places which I didn't like, and it's got a lot of CG vomit that
you didn't like the tooth flying out right in front of your face in 3D. You didn't care for that.
No, I didn't like that giant river of sparkly CGI as he was holding on to Shrek Jr.
Oh yeah,
trying to toss it over to Dad. I mean, it was just.
That was out there in Thor: Love and Thunder territory.
Yeah, that was and also those Rock'em Sock'em Robot movies by what's his name, where suddenly you don't know which is the bad guy and which is the good guy. The Transformers, right? I mean, Transformers 2 or 3. I didn't know who was fighting who.
Superman by Michael Bay. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that probably would have been better. So there's lots to say about both. I think the one thing that the Superman movie managed to do is, apart from sticking around long enough, it gave us a hint as to what Gunn had in mind, and we weren't entirely adverse to it, like the Justice Gang and also Mr. Terrific. We liked a lot of the stuff on the side, and we all talked about the fact that Gunn seems to be much more comfortable in group movies, right? What's the TV show that he's got that is just hilarious? I
thought you were going for Peacemaker. So now
Peacemaker, yes.
Okay,
Peacemaker.
Good. That is where you were going.
Yeah, I love Peacemaker, and apparently the new one is shaping up to be even better. And he's really much more comfortable in the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of milieu. And so you got, I think Superman kind of gave us a hint as to where Gunn was going. I don't think it did a good job in terms of it being a Superman movie, but it's opened the door to a bunch of things he can now do. The problem with Fantastic Four, and is it didn't open up any doors. I mean, it had that stupid little thing at the very end with maybe Robert Downey Jr., but again, Robert Downey Jr. did terrible in Dr. Dolittle. He's no one's going to be watching him just because it's RDJ, right?
Right.
So that was possibly, if they had done a better job using Fantastic Four to open up the universe of possibilities, then maybe they wouldn't be in the same situation. But it ended flaccidly, and it didn't stick the landing. But I did love the look of it. I absolutely adored the production design of Fantastic.
Let me ask you this, Paul, as Valiant gets back into the saddle.
See, did I skate long enough? How was that?
You skated well.
Great.
Now we just got to give him a landing spot. Okay. Paul, to provide him with a landing spot, we're going to bring him something slightly different, but just close enough that he can come into the conversation, and that is giving away the tricks of the trade, folks. Paul, when you look at this number, Marvel has not managed to break $500 million this year on any single film.
Right.
They've got the Avengers coming out. I think every single person that has ever worked in Hollywood is going to be on that roster in that cast. So, Paul, what is the cost? How are they getting people to come back for an amount that can make this make sense for them financially?
Well, it really made no sense at all business-wise. Right after Endgame, they should have recast everybody, do a James Bond flip of everyone, bring in new people, very much like James Gunn did with Superman, right? I mean, it's the risk that you take, and then just do individual comic book movies until you get your act together again. And Marvel is one. I wouldn't have run it the way they ran it. Doesn't mean that I would have been more successful, but I think the evidence is that it's been incompetently, visionlessly run.
Well, it looks like to me, Valiant, they've got 20 plus people that command a significant salary going into this next movie, and I just don't see how, they need a lot of money to justify that, and I don't see where they're getting confidence that they can earn a lot of money anymore.
No, we talked about this before. And taking all of the Marvel fanboyism off the table for a second and just looking at the money, right? That's all I want to look at. And I mean, as much as I'm not going to tell you that Superman was a massive flop, although at the box office, it's not going to make money. It's going to lose money, but they'll make it up on the back end with their Mattel deal. They'll make it up with their PVOD sales, which is why I think they did it. And I'm not going to clown them too hard for this because Warner Brothers has had such an exceptional year of profitability at the box office outside of this, right? We'll see where this new DC universe goes. I think the jury's still out. That being said, we can't say the same thing about Marvel. And this is the difference because we have years post-Endgame now of failure after failure after failure after failure. Collectively, $1 to $2 billion of losses collectively at the box office with phases 4 and 5. Even when you throw in the big dogs out there, like the one-offs of Deadpool and Wolverine, that, again, just like Hulu, they spent $70 billion to get their hands on. Those one-offs don't make up for what Disney has spent to invest to buy the rights to even do these things to begin with. Same thing with Hulu. You look at what's coming up with Doomsday, and I would only have to presume that they're going to, from a business perspective, a financial perspective, they're going to structure the business side of Doomsday and Secret Wars as they did with Infinity War and Endgame, meaning you'll have one single production entity, LLC or LTD Limited in the UK, where they're filming this at Pinewood, that will encompass both films. Ladies and gentlemen out there in the audience, you know the answer to this. How much money, according to Disney's own reporting, that they actually spent, their actual expense logs that they submitted to the UK government for that production entity for Infinity War and Endgame? What is the total for those two films? Not including marketing, just everything that Disney allocated in terms of what they said was a production cost for those two films.
So are the Thunderbolts supposed to be in those films?
Infinity War and Endgame? No, not those.
They're not, eh?
No.
They're not one of the new Avengers?
Well, in the new movies, yeah, but I'm talking about Infinity War and Endgame from 2018 and 2019.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about the new Avengers. I'm so confused with
we're gonna
naming.
that segues into that. But the point, Paul, I was trying to make was that what did Disney spend according to their own filings? Like not the thing we explained Wednesday with Superman, where everybody was trying to say that the movie cost $360 million. No, we debunked
Wednesday wasn't in Superman. You're wrong. Damn, do I have to come on this show and correct you guys?
It's about time, man. We've needed this.
That's why you're here. 1.3 billion.
Wow.
Is what Disney spent according to their own filings, not estimates, not reserve a tax credit for us, but what they spent according to their filings after the fact of production. $1.3 billion is what Disney spent to make, not market, just make Infinity War and Endgame.
Wow.
If anybody thinks
that
you got Doomsday coming with every actor that has ever set foot in a Marvel production, and then Secret War after that with every actor, I guess, again, that has ever set foot in a Marvel production, apparently except the Eternals. If you think that's going to come in for less than $1.5 billion, maybe $2 billion, you're kidding yourself. They are going so overboard because they think this is all we need to get back on track. The problem at Disney and the problem with Kevin Feige is that they've been touting that cry, that battle cry for the last 4 years, and it hasn't happened. This next one will get us there. This next one will get us back on track. This TV show will make it happen. This movie will make it happen. None of them have made it happen. They are now sailing into the abyss, right? This is Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. They're going over the edge or whatever of maybe that was the second one, Dead Man's Chest. They're going over the edge. They're going into the netherworld. Yeah, this is it. And they're just, woo! They're just sailing away. I mean, it's Slim Pickens ride the nuclear bomb in Doctor Strangelove.
Well, think about what the plan was. The plan was to have Brie Larson lead the films for the last 3 phases. She was supposed to take on Jonathan Majors as Kang, right? That was the original plan, and everything screwed up to the point that by the time we got here, they thought that they could have the Thunderbolts and the new Captain America, whoever his Avengers are. I still don't know who those people are, but those two groups go up against the Fox X-Men, and you throw RDJ in and you got to win. Now they've decided that cast of like 20 people just isn't going to be able to carry water. They've already got them signed. So what are you going to do? Call Hugh, baby. Hugh Jackman, we got to get you teamed up with Tom Holland as fast as possible. And can we get Andrew Garfield in here? Can we get Tobey Maguire? Anybody? Is there anybody left who has possibly ever played a role in a superhero film? Get in here now. It'd
be really funny if Garfield the cat shows up and the director is, I said Garfield, not Garfield the cat. God damn it.
Well, at least we've got Chris Pratt in the credits then.
So you got to give Gunn credit that you're better off grooming, and I hate to use that word, a new group of actors,
adult actors, not those kind of adult actors, different kind of adult actors,
take over and hopefully carry things on. I mean, I would say that David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan, people are still buzzing about them. There's a lot of goodwill, I think, around them that I think people are going to be very excited about seeing what they're going to do next. As much as I liked the Thunderbolts, I would love to see another Thunderbolt movie, but it's never going to be a big movie. Like, they shouldn't spend more than, $100 million on that, and it would be fine. It'll be, $80 million Thunderbolts movie would be absolutely fine. But Gunn has managed to create a really good crew with Peacemaker and even the Guardians of the Galaxy is owned by Marvel. But we kind of have an idea, between Nathan Fillion and Hawkgirl and Supergirl, that some interesting things are going to happen. Reassembling a bunch of the old actors in Marvel to try to bring people to the theater is a failed strategy.
Well, the other thing too is for Superman, it looks to me like, for all the complaints about the box office, It did pretty darn well domestically. It's the international markets that fell off for it. They've got to fix that. They got to find a way to get that working.
I'm less concerned about the box office, and I'm more concerned about the twinkliness that David and Rachel have.
Oh yeah, they've got chemistry.
They have chemistry.
Yeah,
and
they do.
and that, to me, I can build on that. You, please, either of you two, please tell me any kind of chemistry that came out of Fantastic Four or the Thunderbolts that they can really, really build on to make $1 billion movie.
Stalker vibes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, I look at Pedro Pascal, right? And I feel like he should be one of the dancers for the Minnesota Vikings right now.
I would watch him in the remake of Smokey and the Bandit.
Hey, he's got a good stash.
Yeah, but no, it's not. No. I mean, you
He looks the part.
Burt Reynolds is now Pedro. I mean, he might look the part, but no.
Pedro can act. I didn't mind him as Reed. I didn't mind him as Reed.
I mean, the problem is
that's a different discussion. I don't want to argue about that. The point is that the cabinet is empty.
Yeah.
At Marvel. That's really the point.
It's
bare. Cabinet is bare.
It is very, very bare. Hot on the heels of a disastrous second weekend for Fantastic Four First Steps from Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company, coming in even lower than early estimates projected, we're pleased to announce a new sponsor here on Valiant Renegade. Shitting the Bed, a Kevin Feige story. We're very excited to announce that pre-sales for this book have been absolutely outstanding. What? What do you mean the book sales fell off 67% in the second weekend?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Hey, Valiant, I'd like to thank them, though. We need to give an official, we need to send some cupcakes over to Marvel. Because have you heard that maybe mostly over politics, that they're moving all of their productions out of Georgia?
Yep. I got
into the
story.
UK. Oh, we got to send them a thank you letter. Maybe a fruit basket, because that opens the door to you and Jonas to do the little magical things that you guys do, where you know all the numbers that they don't want us to have.
Yeah, I've got that story pulled up from the Wall Street Journal. We're actually going to get to
Georgia
that.
Because it's not safe for ladies with dicks.
I don't know. I think look, there's a lot of there's a lot of fighting between the states. I say fighting, that's probably the wrong word. But there's a lot of competition. Let me put it that way. There's a lot of competition between the states right now to get these big Hollywood productions in there to do business. So you've got more and more states that are either introducing their film tax credit programs and or they're expanding them, right?
Like Nevada is.
Nevada, yeah. Superman was one of those. And again, people kind of went over the moon with this instead of understanding what it was. You know, when Warner Brothers filed their thing in Ohio to do filming there, and they told the state of Ohio up front that, okay, our production is going to be $360 million. We think we're going to spend $36 million in Ohio. Now, what actually turned out to be the case was they spent about $17 million in Ohio, less than half, shooting in Cleveland. But people used that as, oh, well, you know, the $225 million they're saying that they spent net on Superman is bullshit. They're hiding it. I'm like, no. And again, this is one of these conversations we had Wednesday. But this is why these they're looking to see where can we get the most money? Who's going to give us the most money? Right. And the UK has been incredibly competitive in that regard. And when you look at places like Pinewood in the UK and Shinfield, in the new Shinfield soundstage and studios in the UK, I mean, you've got a lot of major productions, Disney especially, that have these things booked years out. I mean, years and years out. In a lot of cases, I don't even think they know exactly what they're going to shoot in some of those time frames. They're just booking them because they want to do them there. And they've developed such a good relationship with the UK government to get those film tax credits because there's a limited pool, right? And we talked about this Wednesday when it came to Superman. People were asking, well, did they defraud the state of Ohio? It's like, no, they didn't. I said, because what you saw was we think we might spend this much before they shot a single frame of film in Ohio for Superman. What they actually then spent is what they turned in on expense reports.
Is it an estimate, Valiant, or is it a top end that they're providing when they do those?
It's kind of both. So what we did Wednesday is that we gave people the example of booking a restaurant, right? So you're going to go to a popular restaurant. You know that the available seating is very limited. If you don't book a reservation in advance, you're not going to go have dinner there. So you call up that morning and you say, you know what? Hey, guys, you got limited seating. We really want to eat there tonight. I'd like to book a table for 4, just in case. We got some friends coming with us. My wife and I are going to be there, but I think my other buddy and his wife are coming too. Book the reservation for 7. So you booked a table for 4. You told the restaurant you're coming with 4 people. You show up at 7 o'clock that night and your best buddy and his wife couldn't make it. Do you pay for 4 people? No, you pay for the 2 that showed up, right? You tell the restaurant, sorry, the other 2 couldn't make it. It's just going to be us 2 tonight. We'll have dinner. And that's it. You pay your bill for 2 people and you go. This is the same thing at Ohio. When you have a limited pool of film tax credits that everybody is going to try to hopefully fight to get. Same thing in the UK, same thing in Georgia, same thing down here in Louisiana. There's a limited pool each year of film tax credits. If you're Superman, if you're DC Studios and your production is going to be this big and everybody else that's coming into Ohio, which is basically what the case was like this big, right? You want to make sure that the state of Ohio, that you book a reservation for 4. Even though 2 people might show up to eat, you're still going to book the reservation for 4 to make sure you get the table. That's basically what happened here. It's not uncommon. That doesn't mean that DC Films or Warner Brothers claimed a film tax credit based on $35 or $40 million, right? That would be fraud if they defraud and say we spent $40 million, but we really only spent 17. That would be fraud. But making the reservation ahead of time, which is what they did, because that was filed before they even went into pre-production in Ohio and Georgia. They got film tax credits from Georgia. They got film tax credits from Ohio. The thing is, in the UK, we get to see the public filings that are not reservations, but are actual expense reports. We get to see this is what we spent. This was our bill at the restaurant when we showed up. Not the reservation. This was the bill. This is what we paid. That wasn't what happened in Ohio. We don't get those. Now, Deadline, and we talked about the article because they're the ones that broke it a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago now. Deadline got some of the numbers. They said, yeah, they spent 17 million or 17.5 million in Ohio, not the 36 that was on the reservation. So that's the difference. They're moving to the UK because that pool of credits, it's easier for them to say, you know what? We're going to do everything over there. Instead of trying to piecemeal it, instead of trying to go to Georgia for this, go to Ohio for that, do some stuff here in California, maybe go down to Louisiana for this and that. If you have, independent stuff like Five Nights at Freddy's, where it's one movie, you're talking about a $25-30 million budget. Yeah, we love having the Five Nights at Freddy's. We love having Jason Blum and Scott Cawthon come down here to Louisiana. In fact, they shot a lot of that movie about 10 minutes from where I live, in the woods. And then you got places in New Orleans and all this where they set up that empty parking lot. There's signs up there. People love taking pictures because they keep signs up all year round that says, please do not cut the grass.
I'm expecting you to be an extra at this point.
Well, no, I wish I would. That'd be fun. But the point is that that's a different thing. Like you come down here, it's easy to reserve, hey, we need $2 million in film tax credits from Louisiana. When you're Marvel and you go to the UK because you're booking hundreds of millions of dollars of film tax credits over time. The reason that the reports come in as slow as they do, we wonder was like, why are they still filing expenses 4 years after the movie come out, right? The reason is because the pool of film tax credits is limited. You can only get so much each and every fiscal year as the government makes it available. So you'll take some of your expenses in year 1, get as much of the tax credit as you can, roll stuff over to year 2, year 3, and keep claiming tax credits to come in. That's how you do the offsets a lot of times. And what you have to remember is a lot of these companies, even the ones that are filming in the UK versus here, once they submit everything, a lot of them are selling, and I bet Disney does it too. they sell the film tax credits to third parties up front. Because if you're Warner Brothers or you're Disney, you don't want to wait 2, 3, 4 years to get all your money back. If you got $50 million in film tax credits, you might go ahead and sell it to a third-party broker for $40 million today and get your cash in hand, and they'll take the money over time. So that happens as well. There's a whole market for selling the film tax. This was way deeper than I expected to go.
Yeah. Well, pragmatically for the people at home watching and listening in, and by the way, you've got more than 2,000 people out there right now tuning in, almost 2,100. Fantastic numbers tonight, Valiant. But for everybody listening in, no, Paul, no bad jokes just quite yet. But the bottom line is, we're going to have the Avengers numbers.
Yeah,
we're gonna know whether or not this thing breaks even, how badly it flops if it flops, and that is that's some real guts that Disney has to put that out there for us to see.
Well, I just really like the fact that it's clear that whether it's Zaslav or whoever, in charge, maybe even Gunn and his Safe or whatever his partner is, someone said we got to produce this stuff for less money. Although you're saying Superman was quite an expensive film, right?
$225 million, according to every source that we've seen.
So do you think that's reasonable for that movie?
In this day and age, when I see every Marvel movie coming in at 200 to 300 million, I'd suppose so.
And that means that the break even was about 700, probably.
700 is what we said.
I just got a sense that they are going to be cutting back on budgets on other movies.
They gotta.
Oh, they have to. They have to. And that's why, look, that's why we were having the box office discussion earlier. Not that I want to relitigate this, but this is why films like Weapons and Nobody 2, right? They're not going to have huge box offices. Weapons is doing extremely well. It's at 150 million now for 10 days. Universal Pictures bought that from Mr. Krieger and the crew for 38 million, right?
Wow.
And that included $10 million of profit for Krieger to direct, produce, and write the film. So the guys that made the movie already have made a profit. Krieger's already swimming in it, right? Now it's on Universal. They invested $38 million and probably another 20, 30 million on top of that to do some marketing for it. It's at 150 million. They've already made all their money back. Everything's gravy. And here's the kicker, is that because of their deal with Netflix, with Universal, Netflix is probably paying at least $30 to $40 million to get the rights to stream this film after it leaves Peacock. It's probably in there. So everybody's making money. Everybody's happy. Nobody 2. Same thing, right? Or Weapons, I'm sorry. Weapons is Warner Brothers. Pardon me. I've got them flipped. Nobody 2 is Universal. Squeeze me. Nobody 2 is Universal. $25 million production budget. It did 14 million its opening weekend. It's a very niche film, Paul, but it's a fun film. I love the first one. I love the second one. What we talked about earlier was the fact that at $25 million, I guarantee you that Netflix is writing a check as part of that overall contract with Universal for at least that much. So they're fine. Everybody's fine. It's when you get these $200-300 million monster films, Paul, that's where the risk gets high. And in this day and age, it's become extremely clear is that unless you have a lucrative third-party streaming contract, meaning if you're Disney, not Disney Plus, because Disney Plus is still losing money. But Valiant, they say they're making money. That's with Hulu included. Let's not go down that road again. Disney Plus is still absolutely losing money. So that's not good for Disney. But if you're Universal or if you're Warner Brothers in the long game, and if you're Sony or Lionsgate or some of these other ones out there, Paramount even too, I bet we're going to see a big shift with the Ellisons now. We're going to talk about that. Collecting these third-party checks, I mean, it's a different game for them versus a Disney that consumes everything themselves.
The problem here, though, is that like this weekend, I don't think we topped 100 million, right, at the total box office domestically. So you combine everything together. That's not good for theaters. So you can have profits on smaller films, but you really do need bigger ones to carry. That's why I'm watching this coming weekend, because this coming weekend you're going to get the one weekend event release of K-pop Demon Hunters sing along, And Valiant, I don't know if you've been reading along about this.
Yep.
I can't find the article right now. You may have it where theaters are basically begging.
They're adding shows. Yeah.
Begging to add more shows. Do you know what is stopping that though? This is so fascinating.
Netflix.
Yes. Well, if that's a segment, I'll hold it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting there. Because in fact, there was a great article from Puck talking about what a complete disaster this was for Sony giving this away the way they did.
Yeah. Well, they've got the sequel though, and now get ready for an arms race between all the studios trying to get it.
No, it's pretty much already locked into Netflix.
Well, I haven't seen what Puck has to say, so I look forward to seeing it. But the article I was just reading mentions that Sony has a lot of the cards and could take it to other distributors.
Well, it possibly, but I mean the way they have Sony's deal with Netflix is multifaceted. Of course, everything that Sony releases theatrically is going to go to Netflix in the pay one window. And that's where they're getting a lot of their money, right? Sony's not doing much at the box office. In fact, Sony's box office numbers this year are atrocious, but Sony's still going to make plenty of money because Netflix is paying for everything up front. They'll be fine. The other side of it is that Sony also has commitments to Netflix in that deal where they have to make X number of products that are exclusively direct to Netflix, right? And K-pop Demon Hunters was one of the things that Sony picked up front. Boom, this is it. Now that IP is over there on Netflix, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But we'll get to the Puck article here in a little bit. But this was, one of these stories here. I think the worm is turning with the whole Netflix situation because this was a kick in the balls this week.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to talk about this because Netflix has been able to, up to this point, I think, they've been able to resist going to theaters by saying, hey, look, we're Netflix. We're going to give you cost plus 20% up front. We're just going to buy the thing from you. Guaranteed. You don't have to worry about shopping, marketing. You don't have to worry about what happens at the box office. We're just going to give you the money cash up front right now. And there's a lot of filmmakers out there that are more than happy to take that deal because it de-risks everything. But things have changed, and I'm going to talk about what those are. I do want to get to some of these super chats, though. Let me get to these first real quick. Araxis for $2. Welcome back to X, Mr. Chato. Planning on staying?
Yeah, I'm not going to be arguing with anybody. I'm just going to put in jokes.
You're so full of shit.
No, I'm not going to. Oh, have you seen my recent post? I just posted another joke. I golf the way I gamble. I have a 500 ball limit. See, that's what I'm doing. And you know what? The X is so bereft of joy, and I can offer it. If you can call bad jokes joy, I mean that is a an issue. But if I can do that, and I can write jokes, and I can make people laugh, and so I'm going to dedicate myself, doing that. I thought I had my other joke was pretty good. I went to the movie theater and I went to the men's washroom, and there was a whole lineup of stalls, and one of the stalls they had a sign on it said out of order, and I spent an hour trying to figure out where it needed to go.
God. Canadian humor on Renegade Nation.
I thought that's pretty good. That's
good.
what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I write jokes every day. I'm going to be putting it on my X, and hopefully people.
Are you going to leave William Shatner alone? Are you going to leave him alone?
Shatner's blocked me a long time ago.
Okay, but you've been gone so long. You can now see what the people who have blocked you have to say. Like there's crossover now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, okay.
Really
maybe you can show me later. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So X is it's a cesspool of people who are refusing to listen to each other, and so I'm just going to try to make. I'm going to try to shove in light, joyous light.
Really, just shove that light in there. Just get it in there.
Stick it.
Nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
A funny thing happened on the way to the forum.
History of the World Part 1.
History of the World. Oh, sorry. No, you're right.
Yeah. You're not far off. It
No.
does. It is reminiscent of
I
funny
now,
thing
as soon as I was
Yeah.
saying that, I went, it's wrong.
Yeah. No,
So-
was Dom DeLuise did he do?
No, he wasn't in 2. I wasn't in 1, and number 2. Number 2, History of the World 2 was just a piece of garbage.
I didn't watch it. I refused to know. No, but was he also in Funny? A Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum?
No, Dom DeLuise. No. That
okay, I
was
think he was.
Sid
Zero
Caesar.
Mostel was in that, was he not?
Yes.
Zero
Mostel. Yeah.
Mostel, who kind of looks a little bit like Dom
Yeah.
DeLuise.
Yeah. I saw
Yeah.
Zero Mostel in Fiddler on the Roof. That was fun.
Oh,
But
God.
the History of the World Part 1 has got one of the funniest jokes of all time is Mel Brooks as Moses is coming down the Mount Ararat and saying, "I've got God's 15 commandments," and one of the tablets
10.
falls, 10 commandments.
Yeah. Oi.
Oi.
10 commandments. We need Ron. Ron Coleman's supposed to be hopping in here soon.
Oh, that'd be
He's got some
great.
stories
We
to
need
go
more
through.
Jews here.
Yes, we
because-
need. Yes, we
Yeah.
need.
That's one of the
more
reasons
Jews.
why we have so few comedies. The Zucker brothers were not allowed to do their version of Naked Gun, and it was titled "Norbert Did It."
I didn't know that. You talking about David Zucker?
The Zucker brothers, Zucker and Abrams, the two Zucker brothers and Abrams, who wrote Airplane and who wrote Naked
Yeah. So
Gun.
David. I thought. Well, okay. I say David
two.
Zucker.
There's
I
two,
thought
and I
it was. I
couldn't
didn't know it
remember
was
the-
Zucker.
Yeah,
Well, there's David Zucker,
right.
who he popped up on a couple episodes, as a matter of fact, of Impractical Jokers over the years. They brought him in to clown some of the guys in the middle of a bit, and it was hilarious. But yeah.
David Zucker. David Zucker's
yeah,
been
that's
making
what I
the
thought.
rounds, and he was even interviewed by Alan Ng. It was a terrific 2-parter, fantastic. And yeah, they had a movie. They pitched it called Norbert Did It. Do you understand that joke?
Mm-mm.
Well, Norbert was played by O.J. Simpson.
Oh, Norbert from
the Naked Gun.
Yes.
Norbert did it, and so they titled it Norbert Did It, which is a hilarious title.
Priceless. Yeah.
And I wasn't happy with Naked Gun. There wasn't enough sort of, there are not enough jokes in there. So yeah, we need to get all the old Jewish joke writers back. I've been watching the Friars roasts on YouTube.
Oh yeah, classic.
And just killing myself laughing.
Classic stuff.
Although the funniest guy was oh God, forget it. Keep going. I forgot his name. David. He had his own talk show. Who wasn't Jewish, but he was the funniest guy.
The funniest non-Jewish guy.
Non-Jewish guy. Yeah.
Ken Tobias for $10 with 150 million subscribers. Does HBO Max surpass the Hulu and Disney Plus merged sub? Is Max up to 150? Okay, so what Ken is referring to is either last Sunday or Wednesday this week, and we've been talking about this. One of the reasons, of course, that Disney had recently announced that they are going to stop telling you how many Disney subscribers they have. Probably that's going to begin after. We'll probably get one more in the fourth fiscal quarter, which will be reported in November. But then after that, they're going away. And I said the reason they're doing that is because if they're going to combine Disney Plus and Hulu, right? The Disney Plus core has in North America has 54 million Disney Plus subscribers, is what Disney tells us. There's about 51 million Hulu subscribers in North America. What Disney never has told us is how many of those subscribers are already duplicative.
Bingo.
I promise you, it's
bingo.
like it's
bingo.
Way more than half. It's way more than half. The reason that Disney is not going to tell you anymore how many subscribers they have is because the minute they coalesce these things and the bundled package, in fact, there's no bundle anymore if it's one service, right? All of a sudden, Disney may lose on paper 50 million subscribers for streaming. It's all fugazi. It's bullshit.
Yep.
It's been bullshit.
Bingo.
So when about Disney Plus, Disney boasts 180 million streaming subscribers. I bet their real number is probably closer to 130 because they're counting like me. I have in a bundle with other stuff. I've got Disney Plus, which I never turn on. And I've got Hulu over here that my wife watches because it's got a lot of her shows on it that she likes. Okay. But I promise you on that earnings report, Disney is counting me as a one Disney Plus subscriber and one Hulu subscriber, which is 2 subs according to them, which it isn't.
Right.
So it's all a lie. It's all BS. It's been BS. And this is why they're not going to report them anymore. So yes. And look at, and we talked about this before, right? So when you look at Disney's earnings statements and you see, well, my God, they've been boasting 150, 180 million subscribers for years. How is it that they're barely, just in the last fiscal year, starting to turn a T9C profit? While at the same time, you've got streaming services that are far smaller than they are, that show losses that are a fraction of what Disney has been showing for years, a teeny fraction, like 10%, or they're showing profits at far lower subscriber numbers than Disney ever did. It's because Disney was lying to you. Disney was lying to Wall Street. The numbers were always bullshit.
Asterisk in a legal way.
Yes. No, well, in a financial way. Look, no, it's straight bullshit. When Disney comes out and says we have 180 million subscribers, they were deliberately misleading, in my opinion. They were deliberately misleading Wall Street. They were deliberately misleading investors. They were deliberately misleading the public out there because they were counting at least probably 30, 40 million of the subscribers twice. The same people, right? When Netflix tells you, what does Wall Street expect? If Netflix or HBO Max tells you we have 100 million subscribers, or in the case of Netflix, we have 330 million subscribers, there's only one service for Netflix to subscribe to. There's only one service for HBO Max to subscribe to. There's only one service for Paramount Plus to subscribe to. There's only one service for Peacock to subscribe to. There's only one service for Roku, so on and so forth, right? With Disney, there's 3. There's ESPN, there's Disney Plus, there's Hulu. Now they pulled ESPN out of the matrix and put that over in the sports division. But when they've been quoting DTC, entertainment division DTC, that's Disney Plus and Hulu. And all those North American subscribers, a significant number of them have been getting counted twice for years.
Do they still have the Indian subscribers that
Hotstar? No, they've completely divested. They took a huge multi-billion-dollar loss on that.
Wow,
when they divested.
Cricket wasn't big for Disney.
Cricket got them.
I think they bought it because they thought it was Jiminy Cricket.
Well, the problem, Paul, over there is that, and this is why, look, Netflix never got involved in India. They were like, screw that. Because sure, there's 1 billion people in India, but when you have to charge, you can't charge more than 70 cents and a bowl of rice a month for your subscription service.
Aloo gobi.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, it's that literally.
Well, it actually
we were
shows
paying
up
$8 a month here in U.S., and people in India were paying 40 and 50 and 60, 70 cents a month.
YouTube actually gives you a good
money.
mapping of where your profits on YouTube come from, and it shows that if you've got a large subscriber base in Brazil and India, you're actually not making very much at all.
Yeah.
So they know what things cost all over the world, and you make the most money out of the English language.
Wouldn't it be funny if the social justice warriors found out about it? That the money comes from the Anglosphere and a few other places. That would drive them nuts.
Yeah, well,
I mean, yeah. Speaking of where money comes from, I remember when Jordan Peterson's second book was being published in Canada, and I can't remember who the publisher was. It might have been Random House or Penguin. There was a giant uproar amongst the septum ring wearers in all these young things working for the publishing company, demanding a meeting with I think the president in Canada, and saying that they don't want Jordan Peterson because he's evil, right? He's
Oh yeah, heard it.
just wanting to improve the life of young men and women who read the book. Anyway, so the publisher had a come to Jesus moment with the crew of Blue Hairs, and said, by the way, publishing is difficult. Maybe only 2 books out of all the books we publish actually make enough money to pay all our salaries, and Jordan's book is one of them. So do you want a job? Yes, no. Which I think was, and they shut up after that. I mean, that's a perfect example of just
hair dye is expensive.
Hair dye is expensive. That's and those tattoos,
Let me grab a few more of these. Crimson Splat for 5. I've pretty much quit watching professional sports. Spoiled babies.
Well, I do like the roller derby. Sorry, WNBA.
Oh yeah. Darn it. I was going to make the same similar joke. Not as good.
That's the dildo derby, Paul.
Yes, and I did a show on that. YouTube took me down my monetization thing a little bit. I didn't know. I mean, was I supposed to say dildo, sex toy? I mean, I had no idea.
You had too many floppy rubber things in
but I did you see that video? I had a great time. It was
now I got to go watch it now.
Yeah, because I claimed that because no one in the mainstream media actually went down to find out what kind of sex toys they were. Of course, I went to the local stag shop in my mall, and then I just listed the name of 5, 6 absolutely ridiculous things.
You have a very spicy mall, sir.
I do. Sort of like the W, I mean, anyway, you have to see it. Please, I encourage everyone to go to Appalling News and go see my WNBA dildo episode.
All right, we're gonna check that one out. Lightning Sketch for 5. Cheaper budgets equals more creative control equals better product equals success. So
yeah, I mean, people are constantly amazed, even at the special effects of Werewolf in London, right? They're still discussing that. Like, how did they do that? I mean, how did they get him to turn into a werewolf? And those were all practical effects. I think it was Rick Baker. He might have won an Oscar for that. And everybody's over reliant on CG. We need to go back to movie magic when you don't have a lot of money and you got to get creative. I think that's a good thing.
Indeed. Mel Brooks said it right, and the producers never use your own money. Thank you,
correct.
Cyrano. Yes. Big Blue Horses says for 5, no Snyder, no gun. I'm a Richard Donner bro, circa 1978. That we can all agree on.
Yeah,
Christopher
good
Reeve
movie.
is Superman. And hey, VR, movie budget times 2.5 is how it works. Trust me, bro.
Christopher Reeves was just a fantastic pick for Superman.
He was. And Big Blue Horses, for those of y'all out there, he's making a joke based on the live show that we did earlier.
Who did you get in a fight? Who did you get in a fight with, Valiant? Who's out there doing this again with a 2.5?
Everybody, Grace Randolph, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all of it. It's just the industry standard. No, you're wrong. Stop it. We just covered the AMC earnings call. We showed the actual numbers. And I'm tired of every time I try to help people understand. I'm like, no, go pull up the public financial data. Grok, is this true? Or really, let me do it the right way. Grok, is this true? It's like
you're making it hard for them. It's so easy to hit times 2.5 in a calculator for them, and you're taking it away.
Yeah, I mean, Grok and AI have made people even more retarded, which I can't.
It's good for comedy, though. Good for comedy research.
It is. Paul, I saw the same thing with the graph, except I saw Iger's great white whale. That would be his downfall if he keeps chasing it, says Medbutt.
Yeah.
And Snarky says, pro and call me Shadow. He says for $5. Welcome you guys aboard. Sherry Lynn says, whatever happened to the tariffs Trump said he was going to put on the film industry for $5? Sherry, nothing, because they were so nebulous. I didn't even understand how it was supposed to work.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't, that doesn't make, it didn't make it. That's the, I was like,
there's some rumors out there that Voight is actually going to deliver some good news for the film industry and is working with Trump on that. So we'll see what happens later in the year. But John Voight may actually have been doing some stuff since the last we heard from him.
Yep. And this guy, Drunk 3PO, you want to come in, Jay? Come say hi. This is a free super chat. Hey, VR, I appreciate it. Thank you. See, I don't complain when people send me member messages like Jay does. Jay complains about member messages. And of course, I sent him some super chats last night along with Fear the Beardo and Jeremy, who were out there doing Fortnite stuff, and I was trolling them on all three of their channels at the same time. But yeah, just in case anybody kind of forgot, we do kind of like Jay here, but even though he complains about super chats, I got to find the right clip. Where's your clip? I have 2 Jay clips. I can't find the right one now. Let's see. Dang,
Jay gets 2 clips.
I'm going to play this one
Before
anyway.
we get to the box office updates for these 2 bombs that have released this weekend, and yes, they will both be bombs. That is pretty much written in the stars at this point, and we're going to talk about why that is. But I want to go to our man on the street, our reporter in the field, Jay, Drunk 3PO. Jay, did you get to see The Flash, and what did you think?
My first thought is this movie's terrible.
Fantastic. Is there any potential audience out there for this film that could help Warner Brothers and this Ezra Miller movie?
If you really like terrible, terrible CGI and annoying lead actors, this is the movie for you.
Outstanding.
Yeah, and just for the super chat, we have another guest joining us here in just a moment to talk about another story. But here's for your super chat, Jay.
Oh, great. Now Jay's begging for super chats. I don't want to hear it, Valiant. You know why? Because when Valiant super chats, he does it straight for clout. He gives $100 to Geeks and Gamers, sends $100 to FNT. You know what he does when he comes in my channel? Member message. But you know what? I appreciate him. I wish Valiant had more days in Florida because I loved hanging out. I love Valiant Renegade. The dude's a legend, man. I hope Valiant Renegade, he's such a great YouTuber and he's got the numbers. I hope he gets to 1 million subs. Valiant, what are you doing, man?
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Ron Coleman in the house. Sorry about that. I can't explain right now.
Coincidence.
Just slightly. I have something going on at the house. It needs my personal attention. So Pro and Ron, I'm going to leave this in your capable hands. Let me set this up. I hate to do this.
Set us up.
Let me just say, the man shows that he's giving Jay $100, and the 3 of us are supposed to celebrate it. We're like, wait a minute, where's our Benjamins at? Why is this guy not showing up on our channels with Benjamins?
Renegade Jr. just walked in the room and said, Dad, there's a police officer at the door. So I need to go find out what's going on. But what I wanted to
talk to the police.
Tell him you've got your lawyer on the live stream. You've got your lawyer on the live stream.
Yeah, I know. So I just want to go. So look, here's the thing, Ron, there's been this thing going on now with, there's a lot of censorship and weird stuff happening. I'm going to let you kind of go into this, but this story happened. This is the tweet I wanted you to talk about. Kind of give everybody an idea, because a lot of people are asking questions about this. Keir Starmer's online Stasi Ofcom have levied their first fine under the Online Safety Act on 4chan, fined 20,000 British pounds sterling with daily penalties. They have instructed lawyers Bern Storm and Ron Coleman to fight the action in American federal court. So Ron, Pro, I'm going to let you guys, what is going on with this? Because there's this whole new wave of digital censorship. YouTube wants your driver's license to verify who you are. You got the UK out there trying to shut down seemingly free speech. What did you talk about this? What your involvement in it is?
Okay, listen, Valiant, go take care of what you have to. Yeah, we can vamp for a while on this.
I'll be right back.
I told him not to give. I told him not to give sanctuary to Mexican Iron Man. He was warned.
Well, listen, turn on the cameras if there's a cavity search involved.
All right, take it away, Ron. What do you got? What is this, and how are you involved? You're now the lead attorney for 4chan. What are you doing?
Well, no, I'm not the lead attorney for 4chan, but my longtime internet friend Preston Byrne contacted me and said, "You see what's going on with the UK? They're trying to censor American social media posts. It's bad enough that they have turned their own country into a dictatorship, but now they're telling US-based platforms and content providers that they will be fined if they don't do what they say in the UK. Now, that's not okay. See, if I were as good as Pro, I would have had a fourth rhyme there, and it would have come out just right.
You got to get your limericks down as you're giving us your legal analysis.
Yeah. So in any event, he said, Ron, he knows that I have historically been interested in free speech issues and doing this sort of crazy stuff and having sort of the advantage of not being part of a corporate law firm anymore, so I don't have to worry about who might be offended by fighting a sovereign or one of its corporate children. And we are in the process of working up a complaint that we intend to file in the United States, in a federal court in the United States. And I can't at this point go into the legal theories that we intend to proceed under, but to be a little bit more clear, Preston represents a lot of some of the least popular websites out there and platforms. One of them being Gab, which was actually once my client, and that was before Andrew Torba became a full-fledged official anti-Semite.
You really know how to pick them, don't you, Ron? You really know how to pick them.
I really do. and that actually sort of cost me one of my first institutional law firm jobs that I lost as a result of insufficiently woke 100 Benjamins, baby. Okay.
Yeah, let's break for just a minute because Snarky has brought in a 100. Thank you, Snarky, bringing in the Benjamins right there. We requested it. I can only assume Snarky is watching back for a little bit. I hesitate to play any clips, though, Snarky, to celebrate this 100 because I don't know which ones are clean here on the Valiant channel. So many of them, as I look at the portfolio of things we could play, might get us in trouble. I'll just randomly click one. Here we go.
Easton leads the scoring with 4. And that's why she commands $7,000 a year. These gals sure do make it look difficult. But is having this minor skill worth being so unattractive? That's for the fan to decide. Yay!
Hey, and Snarky's our fan. Thank you, Snarky, for the 100.
Wow.
When Valiant gets back, we'll bring it back to his attention. But for now, we had a break to say thank you indeed.
Can you give me share permission, Pro?
Absolutely.
Oh, actually, no. Okay, you've got the letter back up there, so I'll just read it off my screen while we look at the screen that Pro put up.
Now, before we do,
give us a background to this. Like
So the UK passed.
Please give us the Cole's notes.
Yes. So since Labour came into power in the UK, they have been very aggressive in squelching speech that is critical of the privileged minorities in the UK, particularly certainly Muslims and immigrants, and they've been arresting people and shutting down free speech. And of course, as we know, they don't have a First Amendment in the United Kingdom. They don't have a written constitution, and they also don't have a guaranteed right of free speech, as Americans legally do. I mean, it's not always honored, but we do have it, and I'm one of the many people who fights to make sure that we can maintain it. So, as the letter explains, so they passed a law called the a UK censorship. It's the UK censorship code, which is called the Online Safety Act, I think, which is typical Big Brother talk for Censorship Act, because no one ever got hurt really from anything that was on the internet. You can get hurt by people, but not by pixels. In any event, the entity that was created by the UK to enforce this law and to prevent any wrong think from seeping into the ether over the United Kingdom is Ofcom, the UK Office of Communications. Now, remember, we're talking about a country. The United Kingdom is kind of a funny place.
Ofcom's been around for a while.
Ofcom's been around for a while, and I was about to talk about the BBC, actually,
right?
About their technically speaking, I mean, broadcast television isn't what it used to be, but in order to own a television in the United Kingdom, you have to buy a license. You have to have a license for the TV, and that's how they pay for the BBC in the United Kingdom. And it's not the same as here. Even though the fact is, so many of the freedoms that we take for granted have their cultural and to some extent legal roots and political roots in British history. They have swung back and forth very wildly. And since Labour has become the government there, they have really screwed down free expression. And what they're doing now is they are sending threats to American platforms, telling them that if they don't,
toe the line.
They don't toe the line. If they allow people to say hurtful things that a Britisher might read, and evidently they do still read English in that country, where they all speak a very strange version of American over there. They will impose a penalty of £20,000 plus daily penalties thereafter.
Ron, do you know of any other platforms directly and that you can name that are experiencing this kind of harassment?
4chan, the answer is yes, I do. And we've discussed this matter with a number of them, and a number of them are. There's at least one more that is probably going to be. Well, they're not all platforms. Some of them are really just websites that are kind of platformy. In other words, bulletin board type websites. The decision to issue this particular letter has to do with 4chan, because 4chan is the one that has been the most visibly, they're the ones who have actually been threatened with the £20,000 penalty. So I mean, what's the problem here, folks? Shadow's is being a real good sport and trying to let me explain this. It's obvious to everyone who already knows it, and therefore, if you don't know it, you then we have to let the past be forgiven for the future. I'm Kamala-ing out here. I'm sorry. Hey, welcome back, Valiant.
You're Kamala-ing out. I'm glad I'm still here. The power just went off for a second. I thought I had lost everything. The storms are getting bad. But speaking of Kamala.
the bottom, I mean, I've done some videos already on the lack of free speech in the UK. I just finished off a video right now called UK is Lost, where the small town of Birmingham, they were not allowed to put up the St. George flag and the Union flag, which is the one that looks like the dress of one of the Spice Girls. They weren't allowed to put them up, but they were allowed to put up Palestinian flags. Mm-hmm. And partly was due to the fact that the town council, run by Majid Mahood, I don't know what side he's on. You can only guess. I'm having a hard time figuring it out. He was saying that the people who believe in the religion of peace were threatening them to be Charlie Hebdo'd. So and so what they did, in fact, was pull down flags of the native Brits who that's transgressing the unwritten law. And so this is going on all the time. And of course, you've got the Rotherham scandal of the grooming, and I don't want to get into that here. And all that stuff is being pushed under the carpet. And Ron, I don't know if you know about this, but someone has discovered a group of approximately 700 individuals of a background that we're not supposed to talk about, but you could call it Yakistani, but I'm not going to say it. Is that there's at least 700 people in the civil service that is in charge of reputational damage.
Yeah.
Preventing it. So this is the stuff that Ron is up against, and the people in the UK are having to deal with. And, if you mention that if a man can't be a woman, then the police will come knocking on your door at 3 a.m. and take you to jail, is what happened to one of the women.
Well,
So my point is, how does the long arm of the law of the UK, the gendarmes there, the police with no guns that are afraid of everybody, but who are no longer actually fighting crime in the UK, how do they reach out to the United States and punish an organization like 4chan?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, I just wanted to also mention Tommy Robinson. I mean,
well, yeah, sure.
People who write and post and publish about what's going on in the UK are also imprisoned. I mean, it's really, they're really going full retard on the censorship.
I want to add one more thing that the people in the audience probably don't know, is because the UK has got such a huge history of lords and the way they run their parliament. There's a lot of very powerful, rich individuals, and the conservative government that was in power prior to the Labour did nothing also, because everybody in British society, many people, not everybody, but many people in power, period. It doesn't matter whether they're on Labour or Conservative, completely are tied up with lying about all the grooming gang stuff and things like that. The complicity of individuals who are just trying to protect their reputation, and the reputation is everything in the UK, because everyone speaks like this, and you've got to protect your reputation when you talk like this. So it's neither a Labour thing or a Conservative thing. Conservatives did nothing about this because they were complicit in this also. It's just that the Labour are now exacerbating it because, of course, the nanny state is really what
the British people don't seem to be able to free themselves from their own government. Ron, go ahead with that answer as to how a company in the UK or how the UK government can,
What they do is they're now contacting platforms like 4chan, which are based in the US, and saying, because your stuff can be accessed in the United Kingdom, we're going to regulate you as if you were a UK company.
Oh, I see.
Now, I wrote about this on my rather defunct blog, which is still accessible in the world, Likelihood of Confusion, where I wrote about freedom of speech and copyright and trademark law back in the glory days of blogging. In 2011, I said, where we're going, Europe is going to start deciding what Americans can and cannot publish. This was before the problem of private corporations that were run by the FBI started deciding what could and could not be published. And I said, and really, where this was 13, 14 years ago, we're on the way to seeing Western European countries being essentially Muslim republics. And they're going to decide whether Americans who are now publishing, because all publishing, unless you're in North Korea or Cuba, is international. Everything goes out everywhere. And what they do is they don't lean on the individuals, they lean on the platforms and say, if you don't want us to shut down Twitter or X or Facebook in our country, here's how it's going to be. There's no first. And that's a real problem for Americans because it has the potential to really undermine the value of the First Amendment because, but the great irony is that of all the countries for this to have made, to be behind an initiative or a really an acute version of this problem, the idea that it should be the United Kingdom, which is America's cultural and legal and to some extent still ethnic mother country, and which is the source of so many of our sensibilities. I happened to I was in Washington on Friday, and after a meeting at the Justice Department, wouldn't you love to know what I was meeting at the Justice Department?
Someday we'll know.
I walked outside, and it's a gazillion degrees. And the next building over was the National Archives, and there's air conditioning there. So, all right, I haven't seen the Declaration of Independence for 50 years or something. So I said, oh, fine, I'll go to the National Archives. They have a copy of the Magna Carta in there. And that's the remarkable thing, that they not only have a copy of it, but it's featured. It is given a place of honor. So the idea that it's not some continental European country, much less China, that is causing this problem, but the United Kingdom is really a problem. But on the other hand, it's kind of an opportunity also, because there, as Paul, as you pointed out, embarrassment is a big deal to them, and it's a two-way street. They're in the process of being embarrassed by to some extent by us. Preston has been very upfront about his intention to do this. He's been in touch with people in the administration. He represents disfavored parties on the internet. He's used to this. He has the contacts, and we'd like to avoid having to do the lawsuit and see the UK back off. And there are things in motion that could result in our not having to do it, but we'll do it if we have to do it.
Ron, what are the punitive mechanisms that like the UK would use against a place like 4chan? Do they do things like try to shut down their operations inside the country, access to it? Is it financial? Do they go after like their international banks that have their money and try to extricate that money from their accounts? What happens?
Yeah, 4chan, that multi-billion-dollar enterprise.
Scrooge McDuck over there, yeah.
Yeah.
But what are the mechanisms they're trying to use?
Well, there is no money at 4chan as far as I understand, but nobody, it's not good for anyone to have £20,000 fines imposed on them. What else can they do to them? I imagine that the UK could act. In fact, I don't just imagine, I'm pretty sure that they could bring criminal charges against people who are involved with 4chan.
And then ask Trump to do an extradition?
But I was going to say, that was my question is, they're levying fines, they're threatening all this stuff. What is the reality that they would ever be able to enforce any of this? Because 4chan is not based in the UK. I mean, so what's stopping 4chan from just telling them, hey, fuck off? Obviously, but okay, you're not gonna be able to operate 4chan in the UK anymore. We'll shut it down, or you won't have access to this internet over here because the UK is now run like a Nazi Gestapo when it comes to the free information and everything else in that country, it seems like. But what can they really do? And where would you fight this out in court?
What, in my days as an IP enforcement lawyer, when we would identify let's say a ring of counterfeiters or mass infringers, the strategy was always to go after the stragglers. get settlements, even if they're only default, or get settlements or even default judgments against sellers of, let's say, counterfeit luxury goods. And then you can use those as leverage and as proof of concept to bigger and bigger companies and say, look at, we have a $10 million judgment on behalf of Louis Vuitton against this company in China or Russia. You then go to the other to the other infringers who are bigger and say, we could, this could be you next. First of all, any diminution of free speech, whether it's 4chan or Valiant Renegade or anything, is a diminution. We all lose. But what's insidious about this process is, by working their, so again, they can enter a judgment against 4chan. They could, in theory, make the people involved with 4chan, they can become fugitives. They could become people who are subject to arrest. Now, the British Empire the sun never set on the British Empire. That's not true anymore. So it's not as if they can't go anywhere in the world. But let's be very clear. The United States would not extradite anyone for any speech that is actually against the law. The United States, not only to extradite anyone based on such out of criminal charges, but even to enforce a judgment that is based on what would be a free speech violation in the United States.
Technically, the video that I just produced on Appalling News is so appalling that if an individual in the UK promoted that to someone else on Facebook, potentially they would get a visit from the constabulary. So I made fun of a lot of things in this particular video, including the catcalling squad, where two women were jogging to entrap men, yelling at them and honking their horns, and the men would be summarily taken off the road and told to stop doing that. Apparently, that it, rather than going after the burglaries, of which the UK police are now no longer able to solve, it's much better to go after entrap men into catcalling to not very attractive policemen jogging.
They can solve them. They're choosing not to.
They choose not to. Yes, because this is more fun.
Because the suspect is more often than not these days going to wind up being somebody who's blasting a call to prayer at 7 a.m. across.
Oh, I wonder who that could be. Yes, yeah. I wonder. No, so I mean, in theory, the video that I've created could be just as the kind of thing 4chan might show.
Yeah,
and I could get sued. Will you be my lawyer, Ron?
Right. I'd love to, of course. Bottom line is, they can't really stop 4chan from being 4chan, but 4chan is the leading is among the leading edges of this attempt at worldwide censorship by the UK. And whether it's financial or technical or technological or criminal or other kinds of sanctions, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. We absolutely acknowledge that the UK, if they want to fuck up their own country even more than they already have, and by goodness gracious, they've done a great job of fucking it up. But if they want to bring it all the way home, God bless them. Okay, we will manage without them.
They could block 4chan using routers.
Right. I mean, VPNs, it'll be a whole adventure.
Yeah, it's not worth.
That's not really Americans' problem.
Are they dealing with any other platform? Because I know 4chan has got an undeserved reputation for being the ultra right wing. Is that why? Because it isn't. 4chan has got like many channels one of which is political. That does happen to be right wing, but that it has kind of been tarred and feathered with the reputation in that one corner of its universe. But do you think it's been singled out because it has that positive Trump vibe?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. No question about it.
See, I'm asking the questions that real reporters ask.
I don't think it's specifically a Trump thing as such. I think it is, however, a making fun. I mean, just the whole based philosophy, the whole, from Groypers who, obviously make my online life so pleasant, people of that nature, to, people like Tommy Robinson, and let's face it, everything has become political now. And part of what we have to worry about here is, we know from our own experience in this country, when you start out with the explicitly political, and then you move your way into what they're doing in libraries, what they're doing in schools, and everything has been politicized as Marxism demands that it must be, and it has been. So that's the fight that we're fighting. And I've got an 8:30 call, so I can't hang out much longer.
Yeah, I appreciate
but I
it.
appreciate the opportunity to talk about it with you guys, and have a lovely weekend.
Thank you so much, Ron. And
good luck.
We'll be back here on Renegade Nation, hopefully Thursday.
We're going to do it this week. Yeah,
we're going to do it this week. So stay tuned for that. And just to let you know, we might have an extra guest joining us that night because it ties into this conversation. I had talked to our buddy Matthew Marsden out there, obviously former Brit himself, now lives in Texas. But I mean, he has a lot of passionate personal feelings about what's going on over there in that country. So I think this will be a fun conversation to continue on with that one. So Ron, thank you. Good, sir. Take care. Night, Snarky for $100. Thank you so much. Just Benjamins, baby.
Wow.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Holy
Snarky.
Smokes.
We appreciate you.
I think he's taken his mother's credit card.
I'm not going to complain if he has. I mean, we appreciate it. Tell you what, we're going to give you he got he said that, and he wants more stuff. We're going to give you something fun here in the little break. By the way, everything's fine. No big deal. It just it's one thing after another. I got a storm, like a massive storm going on outside. The dogs are at my feet. Minor incident. The police thing turned out to be, thank God, nothing. But it's just and the power's going out. It's flickering. So it's going to be one of those days. But it's not one of those days with Snarky with another $50 super chat here. Hail the potty mouth. Piss off to the Doom ass show. That's right. Look, Ron, what everything Ron was saying is right. This is what governments do, right? And in Britain right now, just like we were going down that road here in the U.S., but for Trump coming back in 2024, we were going down the same road where you had the government who was going to single-handedly decide what kind of speech and what thoughts were approved and not approved. That's what's going on in the UK. And strangely enough, the actual real British people themselves are the ones under attack.
Yeah.
It's the foreign invaders in the country who are being given carte blanche for some reason or another.
And it's the people who gave that carte blanche who are trying to now cover their asses from both the conservative and the labor side. That's the point I was trying to make. They're deathly afraid that they are going to be found to be complicit in this horrendous activity. And they just, they don't want to be found out. They're going to do everything they can to do that, which is, every person, I don't want you guys to find out about my dastardly secrets.
Oh, no.
Too late.
No, too late. But no, just one thing to kind of sew that up. We're going to talk more about this later this week on Renegade Nation on the other channel. But I will say this, and for those people that question the choice of language, there is a big difference between an immigrant and an invader. And when I say invader, I'm being very deliberate. I mean, I'm talking about people that invade a country not to become part of the country, not to become part of the melting pot and become, in this case, become American or become British. certainly in this case, these people that we're talking about, you know who we're talking about, that are coming into the UK and causing these kinds of problems with free speech, they're not there to become British. They're there to bring their culture into Britain, set up shop, and convert Britain. That's what they're there for. And the government is basically giving them hand jobs the whole way through. Let's be what it is. If the King of England, Charles, got down on his knees tomorrow and filleted one of these people, it would not surprise me. Okay? He's a pussy.
Wow.
I'm just going to say it. Your king is a pussy. Okay? Big old pussy. There, we're done. I had to get, I can't stand watching these videos each and every day. I cannot stand watching these ass clowns ignore the entirety of history and just let their country get completely taken over. And it's going to be turned into another shithole if they don't fix things in the next few decades. That's just me. Anyway, there we go. Thank you, Snarky. We appreciate the super chats, the 50. We appreciate the 100. We'll talk more about that on Renegade Nation later this week, because on Renegade Nation, we don't give a shit. It's a different format. You got a little bit of that here. So we'll give you something else. How about, I got to play a little bit of this because it's too funny. I'm going to play this one again.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you say this? You got some nerve, sitting there shameless. I bled for this order, killed for your peace. You hail my strength, but treat me like a freak. This is outrageous. You treat my power like it's dangerous. I saved your lives, now I'm seen as traitorous. It's unfair. I'm the chosen one, ain't no council pet. You gave me Jedi status, but still show disrespect. Fuck that, I'll burn this temple to ash. I'm done with your crap, I'll teach some younglings their last class.
Take a motherfucking seat, young skywanker. Yo, entitlement thicker than a hut getting fatter. Ego inflated like a pie versus bladder. A saber with anger don't make you matter. I hold more power than a Death Star reactor. A mace fucking wind, do no hair, just swagger. You pose like a Jedi, but your presence is weak. I step in the room and the force gets on its knees. You sit in a chair just cause I let you breathe. My purple saber so big it don't fit in the sheath. Boy, you're still a slave. Health's got the leash, while I'm the reason Yoda meditates in fucking peace. Take it away, Obi-Dub.
It's over, Anakin. I am high.
Feeling like a force ghost on a permanent trip in the sky. Head go but green in the pipe. Yo, this kush got me deep fried. Had a vision, Qui-Gon said your boy picked the dark side.
What about the droid to tackle the Wookiees?
Padme hit me up on a late night shift. Sliding smoother than a Jedi mind trick. I felt a great disturbance in my pants. Your girl felt it too. She called me master. I made her wet dreams come true. Before I left, she said, tell Anakin this.
May divorce be with you.
Yes.
Wow, where'd you get that? Holy smokes.
This is what AI was built for.
Holy
kind of
smokes.
stuff. I love it. I found that online.
That is just brilliant. Holy smokes.
Better than anything Disney has ever done.
Wow, that is fun. That was absolutely bitchin'.
I look forward to seeing how Disney handles this kind of stuff too, because this is going to get more and more, better and better, and their characters going to do more and more things they don't like. But you know, we're getting there now where you know, that one's a lot of fun to listen to. The lyrics are they're both profane and genius, but at the same time, there's going to be some stuff that comes out that's going to I guess fans are going to retcon the stuff they hate about Star Wars and other things that Disney has made. It's going to be very interesting to see how Disney handles that when suddenly the scene goes in the opposite way.
Well, the main problem is that it's, let's say they got actors to replace all those people and then did that exact thing that you saw.
Right.
That's safe.
Yep.
But the fact that the source is actually from the original content, that's problematic.
And then if you share it on X, even if you're not directly benefiting financially, if you're on X and you're one of those accounts that has monetization turned on, you know, it becomes a question. Listen, this is going to be a battle in the next few years between a lot of companies.
So a long time ago, because I was part of it. Companies lost full control of their brand. So that was actually the beginning of all of this. So as an example, someone did a viral video of someone putting Mentos into Coke. Okay. And did that giant explosion where okay.
Diet Coke
Initially,
Mentos,
Coke was ready to sue the people who did it because it made Coke look stupid and silly. And then someone told Coke, well, you're an idiot. And that was an example of multinational companies losing control of their brand, that the public was now taking control and doing what they wanted and having fun with it, which again, at the beginning, these multinationals who are so anal about control, and they had to, because that's part of controlling your brand. You have to fight for your logo or you lose access to your logo, right? You have to do that regularly,
right?
But they had to give up because the public now did what they wanted to do with a Nike logo and IKEA logo and things like that. We've now become a meme society. And now from the losing control over brand, we now have losing control over your actual characters within the movies and things that you've made. How are they going to react to that? Frankly, that is just good Star Wars messaging, or that's fun Star Wars programming. If in fact Disney was doing a good job of making Star Wars product, that would just expand and make people happy that there's more Star Wars stuff out there. The problem is that Disney's Star Wars sucks. That is really the problem.
Which I think that punches it down pretty good. Valiant, you've got somebody that'll be joining you in just a few. I've got to hop out before that person hops in, but it's been a fun night, and I hope that that's the last visit from law enforcement you face tonight. I told you to not let those smoking hot Colombian women that Mexican Iron Man wanted you to hide in the basement. Told you not to do it.
I think it was the British. I think it was the Brit police, the Met police.
That's right.
It must have been. All right, bro.
You've been catcalling Valiant?
No, not yet.
Prince Valiant. Bye, pro.
All right, we've got somebody else joining us. Let's get a little segue going on in here. How about
New rule: if you are a white guy with a beard, I am allowed to call you Josh, Sam, David, Kyle, or Matt, and you are not allowed to correct me. All of those names are synonyms for white guy with beard.
That's okay, ping pong, as long as you are not allowed to drive or work any other job other than nail salon or massage parlor. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
What's up, Brett DeSovic? How are you doing?
That's not actually how the Chinese talk English. But
that's you're
What's
probably
going
right,
on?
but I think that was part of the joke.
Hello, Brett.
How's it going?
So have y'all met before? I'm assuming
I've never
so,
met.
huh? Okay, well, Paul Chato and Brett DeSovic. Been on the channel before. Paul has been out a while because he, got himself banned from X ages back.
I saw
but
that.
He's back.
I saw
He's
that.
back on now. So it's like, oh, you know what? So we haven't had Paul on the show in a while.
Yeah, so Valiant reached out to me and said, "Hey, come on," and I said, "Sure."
Yep. How's
All right.
things
My
over
mic
at Pop
good?
Culture Crisis? Oh, you're good.
Okay, good. All right, just double checking. Yeah, it's. I saw that you got unbanned. It made its way to my algorithm.
Yeah.
How
In
long
fact,
were you
that's how I
banned for?
first found out. Some fan reached out onto my my YouTube channel and said, "Hey, you're back."
Oh, there
Really?
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this wave over the past week, like people kind of got reinvigorated to, hey, go back, X, revisit this, unban him. This was stupid. And to their
It was
credit
good
this
for
time
me.
around-
Actually,
Yeah.
I was completely addicted to X, and there was to tell you the truth, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And now that I'm back, I'm just taking it easy, doing jokes, not
I
arguing
mean
with
that
anyone.
I delete X off my phone for increments of time for like 2 weeks to a month at a time, just because it ends up being like recently I had to install it because Mary was gone, so I needed to be paying even closer attention to the news than normal. But I try to, like, it used to be an excuse to be just stuck all the time looking for things for the podcast, which of course ends up being a whole bunch of doom scrolling 99 times out of 100. So I go like a month without X on my phone, and my attention span just, it increases tenfold. And then the second I put it back on my phone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My big thing was the notifications, and I had to eventually just turn them off.
Well,
I have mine all muted.
Because I can't, and then I figured, I was like, well, I want to, some of these things, if somebody directly DMs, but I'm even still, it gets insane.
Yeah.
And I'm 100, 200, 300 notifications a day popping up on my phone on X. It's just, dude, I got to turn this off again. It's just, I can't keep up. I mean, I got, some people have time to sit there and kind of go through it. I don't during the day. And then I'm playing catch up on Sunday mornings, Sunday afternoons. I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on here for the show. It's like one way or another, we're doing a show. So
I mean, 300 notifications at a time.
Just like DMs. It's like
squeezing your brain with all of the, the serotonin.
Yeah. It gets too much. It really does. So this was one of the next things I wanted to bring up. There's this new wave going on in Hollywood now. Things are changing. And I thought this was really a good bellwether of it. Talking about how the Duffer brothers are going to leave Netflix. The guys that invented Stranger Things, the biggest television show collectively through 4 seasons that Netflix has, right? Yeah. Wednesday has been pulling in some big numbers, but when you put all 4 seasons of Stranger Things together, the consumption of hours, I mean, Stranger Things arguably has done more than anything, I think, over the years to build Netflix into what it is, as being able to point to a singular show. They're leaving. They've been paid a lot of money by Netflix over the years, and they're leaving. Why? Because one of the new sheriffs in town, David Ellison of Skydance, who just bought Paramount, as soon as look, the ink on that contract with Paramount wasn't even dry, and we're starting to see all these stories that David Ellison has been hitting the pavement hard. I mean, he is going out there. He is spending money to just buy up the talent. And one of the things here was not just the money. This was about the fact that he wanted to give them the ability to make the movies they wanted to do and guarantee them theatrical windows that Netflix.
So not just stuff going straight to Paramount Plus.
Right. They want the Duffer brothers to make, I mean, if it's a TV show, that's one thing, obviously. But in terms of let's make a movie, like Netflix wants them in there. They want them making movies for Netflix for streaming.
Yeah.
And Ellison's like, piss on that. Come over here. I'll give you a theatrical window.
Well, isn't that also very smart, considering they have Taylor Sheridan locking up their like Paramount Plus market with like 8 shows a year?
Yep. And every show that Taylor Sheridan creates for Paramount Plus is the biggest show on streaming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bar none. When you're talking about, I mean, Landman was pulling in, I forget what the numbers, it was something ridiculous. 20 million a week watching Landman. They had the new show Mobland that was Guy Ritchie produced, which was an excellent show. What a hell of a cast that show had. Phenomenal show. Totally brand new. Wasn't connected to Yellowstone. Nothing like that. Pulling in, by the time it got to its 4th week, it was pulling in like 15 million a week in North American viewership for each episodic release. Fabulous show. This is what he wants to do for these guys, but in the theater. And Brett, earlier in the show, we were reminding folks, this is another win for theatrical because Weapons, when it was being shopped around several years ago, about 2-3 years ago now, Netflix was the highest bidder for Weapons. Netflix offered more than the $38 million that Warner Brothers offered to Krager to get the thing. And I mean, it only cost like something like $25 million to make the movie, but there was an extra $10 million in cash built in just for Krager for his production credits, writing, directing the film. That was basically his profit margin. So Warner Brothers investment was $38 million, but Netflix offered him more and he turned it down. And he said the reason he did was because Warner Brothers has a tremendous history with producing and marketing and distributing horror films, and Warner Brothers guaranteed him theatrical. Netflix said streaming only.
Well, that's what happened with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell when they made Anyone But You. They wanted that movie to go to theaters, and everybody Netflix offered them a crap ton of money to release it straight to streaming. And they said every place that offered them money offered them more to go to streaming than it was to get a theatrical window. But it doesn't keep the cultural relevance if they don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, this is it. Greta Gerwig threatened to walk off of Narnia unless it was going to go to theaters. And they lit Wuthering Heights, all these other ones. Netflix is trying to go out there and scoop up not just, the stuff that is cannon fodder for Netflix that brings in a lot of eyeballs and that consumes a lot of watch time, right? I love Trainwreck, the series on Netflix. They're fun little mini documentaries about different stories over time. And of course, one of the most famous ones recently was Trainwreck Poop Cruise. And it was a 1 hour documentary on the cruise ship. I think it was a Royal Caribbean ship. It was about 15 years ago now that went dead in the water in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, stranded out there for a week. The toilets wouldn't work. And of course, 4,000 people on a boat have to go to the bathroom, and it was called Poop Cruise. It was, look, that thing, there were, I think, 5 times the number of people, 10 times the number of people, something stupid, that watched Poop Cruise the same week that Ironheart was out.
Yeah, it's like Tiger King.
Yeah,
right.
Because I mean, nobody's watching Marble Trash, and they're especially not watching Ironheart. Some, like a Black Girl ripoff Iron Man. Nobody cares.
I mean, nobody even watched Daredevil, and Daredevil was supposed to put them back on top.
Did nothing for them.
No,
but stuff like that will feed a Netflix, and it's fine for that. Those documentaries and stuff like low cost, low yield. But what I'm starting to see now is, and this is what I'm wondering. The landscape has changed, and people are talking about how back in years ago they gave $400 million to frickin' Ryan Johnson of all people. Netflix did to make 2 Knives Out sequels. Now those movies didn't cost $200 million a piece. Clearly, they probably didn't even cost $100 million a piece. The rest of it was just pure profit in Ryan Johnson's pocket. Most people don't get that kind of deal, but they were never going to go to theaters. But those deals were struck in an era where theaters were choking. They were dead. They were shut down, or they were just trying to come out of COVID. Theaters have gotten more robust. This is what I want to hear from you guys, what y'all think. Have we reached the point now where theatrical, you look at the number of things that are being released? I don't think Netflix is going to be able to play this game much longer. If they still want to be able to try to get top talent and the best stories, I think their days are numbered. Do you guys think that Netflix is going to be forced to pivot and start putting movies out? Maybe, I mean, not all of them, but putting maybe 6 or 12. Amazon's doing it already.
Amazon, Apple are doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is Netflix has been the last holdout. Do you guys think that Netflix are going to be forced to pivot?
No.
I don't think I think Netflix is so synonymous with streaming now that they're not going to pivot. I think they're going to stick and do what they want. And the brand behind Netflix is what sells it anyways. I mean, people go on there and they watch something that, they don't even know whether they like it or not. If you look at like the top 10 shows on Netflix, it's like Wednesday, Adolescence is a series. It's not going to theaters. Dahmer's not going to theaters. Bridgerton, Queen's Gambit, The Night Agent.
The series, no, but like the Netflix exclusive movies.
Like the movies.
Yeah, the movies is what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, you look at K-pop Demon Hunters, and that's going to tie into this because that was a huge, I mean, Sony basically left so much money on the table doing that with Netflix. It's not funny. And it's that's kind of one of those things to where I think we're going to see some changes in the future. Now, Sony's deal with Netflix is a little bit different, right? They get the Sony library, but Sony also has agreed to make a couple of Netflix exclusive things. K-pop Demon Hunters was one of them.
So you don't think Valiant? So you don't think that the money that Netflix is able to throw at these at the talent, like when you said like Ryan Johnson's movies didn't cost that much, all I could think about was like the second one was made during COVID, and there's a lot of names that he gets a lot of big name actors that cost money. So I mean, maybe they did cost $100 million for all I know.
Well, it worked back then. My point is, I don't think that's going to keep working for the films.
Okay.
And again, it seems like I'm seeing more and more pressure to where, well, yeah, we understand that and especially for look at a small budget movie like Weapons. Netflix throws even more money than Warner Brothers did, more cash up front, millions more that would have gone straight into Krieger's pocket, right? And he said, no. I want this to be a theatrical release. Netflix is refusing to do that. So I'm going to walk away from guaranteed more money for less money, but I get to go into theaters with it. And that's my question is that I'm starting to wonder as the theatrical becomes, more levelized again, because a lot of these deals from, like the last time Adam Sandler signed a contract with Netflix, for example, and that may be a little bit different story, but I mean, that was in the middle of COVID and stuff like this. So yeah, he'll take $900 million, whatever the hell they gave him to make 10 movies for Netflix, because why not? And he may still continue to do that, but I'm thinking that there's going to be some movies out there where these directors, like Weapons, is going to want to make, hey, we have something truly special here. And I don't want to just dump this on Netflix to be movie of the week. I don't want it to get lost. So that's what I'm wondering is if Netflix, they don't want to do it right now, but you've got Amazon out there that's already committed next year in 2026 to releasing, I think, 12 or 14 movies into theaters. Not to say that any of them are going to blow the doors off in terms of box office necessarily, but the point is they're committed to bolstering the theatrical windowing. Apple clearly is already doing it. Huge success this summer with F1, $600 million in box office. It's one of the biggest movies of the year globally right now.
Loved it.
Yeah, fantastic movie. I mean, it's going to beat a lot of movies this year.
Brad Pitt's biggest movie of all time, apparently.
Yeah.
My favorite movie of the year. I mean, if I remember correctly, like just a couple months ago, Ted Sarandos said that he thinks that the theater model is dead. And that was while touting AI as well. I think
did say that.
People are going to put, I think Netflix of all the companies will avoid the pivot. Like the rest of them, I can see them doing it to get the talent that they want. But Netflix's name is the big selling point for them. I don't think they're going to pivot at all. I could be wrong.
I'm curious to see. I think Netflix is going to have to start for certain films. Now, I'm not saying all of them. Because they put a new movie on Netflix, like in a Netflix original, almost every week. They're not going to do that in the theaters. But I think that if they're going to want to win more of these battles, because here's what's going to happen: the Hollywood trades. I think we're going to continue to see story after story of, well, Netflix bid on it. They offered more money and they still lost. Well, Netflix, I mean, I think that's going to keep happening for some of these, especially for some of these films where they know they have something special and they want to be award eligible. Now, Netflix, I think, they're doing it with K-pop Demon Hunters. They're doing the sing-along thing. They have done very limited releases in the past for films to make them awards eligible. But only for that reason.
But I mean, you take a look at the problem. Number one, you put it in a theater, you now have to double the budget to promote it. Money that Netflix right now does not have to spend at all.
Correct.
And the fact that the theaters just give them a percentage of that gross anyway. There's a lot of things that go against Netflix wanting to do it from a business. I have postulated on a couple times now that it probably would make sense for Netflix to create their own movie theater chain. Just like small, like one theater in each major center. That number one, if you're a top tier Netflix subscriber, you can go in and see any of the Netflix movies that are in rotation at the theater for free. If you go in and buying movies from scratch, then you get discounts to become a Netflix ongoing subscriber.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them doing something like that that's more similar to what Apple did with the Apple Store, was kind of branding live entertainment in their own image, and throwing, they could throw up the Adam Sandler movie, the golfing one, Happy Gilmore 2.
Yeah.
And I would guarantee you that if they have a small number of theaters and you're already a Netflix subscriber and the movie only cost you $2, they're going to fill the theater.
Yeah.
Because then it's just about fun. And I think Netflix has an opportunity to bring fun back to theatrical, which right now it's not fun. $18 a movie is not fun. There's a lot of other things, but there's other pressures. I can see A-list movie stars stopping, no longer doing superhero movies, and no longer doing streaming movies that don't open in theaters. I could see both those things happening, choking Netflix from gaining access to A-level stars that could bring them into the theater. But for the most part, I think if they're trying to turn themselves in kind of an amusement ride kind of experience, and if you've ever seen their lobby, which is a spectacular piece of architecture, if they bring that fun to their theater experiences, they could actually do a better job of holding on to their subscribers and cut down the churn by building out Apple Store style movie theaters. That's a crazy idea, but that's what I'm pitching them. They can pay me anytime for it.
Real quick, Snarky for $5 VR's coined Who Dis? That's right. The new.
And yeah,
Disney
I think they could be in the future dragged back to regular theater if the talent, the directing talent, writing talent, and star talent abandons 100% streamers. That could happen.
I think Netflix, for making a choice for things like Apple, like, hey, this is F1. This is shot in IMAX. This works well. They got up in front of it. They put out the money to make the movie happen. This was a good win. There's going to be other things out there. I think weapons, again, perfect example. Low investment. Netflix probably offered, a little under $50 million for that film. They could have promised a theatrical release. They probably could have spent the same $20 or $30 million to do external marketing for a theatrical release for a horror film in the same way that Warner Brothers just did.
But but the thing is, they're growing. They've got 330 million subscribers and growing.
Yep.
That at an average, let's say $10 per subscriber, is $33 billion that are coming in without them actually lifting a finger doing anything. So there is no incentive for them.
There isn't yet. My point is that I think in the next 5 years there's going to be, because I think it's
and you know what? I think they're not stupid. They'll go, oh, you know what? We need to pivot.
That's
right
what
now
I'm
they don't
saying.
need to.
Yeah, it's not there yet. But my point is, I feel like I'm seeing the writing on the wall that they may need to adjust this and think
I don't
about.
see it yet.
Yeah, well, if certain movies, if they want to get them, they really wanted to get weapons, but they lost it.
They're making bags of cash off the Adam Sandler deal. He has been the most reliable person cranking out stuff for Netflix, and every single thing he's done has been successful.
For them, yes, no, absolutely. I'm not arguing that.
What more do they need?
I mean, but Adam Sandler's genre speaks more to like a home video release anyways. In the same
I
way
totally agree. So they get more people like that.
Right, but for certain things they want, my point is that these directors, these writers are now walking away from Netflix, who's offering them more money simply for the fact that they're refusing to give them that's my point, is that I'm not saying everything Netflix does is going to have to go down that road, but they may have to pivot in the near future. It's like, well, we're going to have to get more creative, or we're going to have to get more, we're going to have to open the door for theatrical for some of these negotiations if that's what people really want, because otherwise we're just not going to get the stuff. They've been buying the stuff now for years because they had all the money. And theatrical, when they started doing these deals, like I said earlier, was dead in 2020, dead in 21. is barely alive in 22, gasping for air in 23. That's changing. So that's why I'm wondering how much longer Netflix has before they're going to have to start offering perhaps theatrical windows to certain things they want to get.
But Kreger's was he the dude who did Barbarian?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, so he's like a hoity-toity, artsy, I don't think they're going to have a hard time drawing talent that, and maybe not somebody like Kreger's who considers himself somewhat avant-garde, but maybe 5 years down the line. But I think there's a huge difference in perhaps they just move away from the types of movies that, like, you're talking about horror movies and then bigger budget stuff that, that costs more to produce on its face. Right. But it seems like Netflix's like sweet spot is the Adam Sandler fare, the documentaries and the TV shows. I mean, I just wonder if people stop expecting it from them because they don't need it. Like Paul said, like if they're making 33, however many was that billion you said off if you were assuming $10 a month, like it's a market that adds so many extra layers of hassle, whether it's splitting with theaters and all of this other stuff, that they've become the de facto go-to place for streamers. I feel like they would rather than split their audience and make Netflix something they think of as a theater, as a company that they can go to and see movies in the theater from, they would rather double down on the content that brings them to the platform itself, even if that means sacrificing working with the best directors.
And I think it's a style issue too. I don't think F1 would ever have landed on Netflix.
No.
So I think you can look at it, and Netflix has got the #1 sitcom. You know what that is? Nobody Wants This. #1 sitcom. So they've abandoned DEI. No more cuties. They were actually one of the they pivoted really quickly, actually.
I'm surprised they get involved. Did you see that Amazon invested in Fable Showrunner for AI scripting? I was surprised Netflix didn't get in on that.
No, I hadn't seen that one.
Fable, like the AI movie making program Showrunner, which is getting billions of dollars into investment now. It just got a huge amount of money dumped into it by Amazon. So,
and this was what now? Say again.
It's called Showrunner. It's like a large language model AI filmmaking product that they're using to turn into a streaming service. The service is called Showrunner.
Yeah, I mean, that's why not? That's where it's all going. I hate to say that, but the reality is, and it kind of plays into one of the stories that we had here. One of the last pieces I wanted to get to here. Let me pull this up.
Oh, there's no stopping this. There's no stopping and actually this is where comedy might return. This is the portal where no one can control what you're saying and how nasty or how fun you want to get. Right. This is how comedy is going to come back to either, the streaming or maybe even theatrical. Although I think the movie theaters are going to be prevented from showing something generated by AI right now.
Yeah. And I mean, this is kind of the part of, you see, everybody's trying to cost cut. We're seeing the budgets of these things get out of hand. And especially at Disney, who have terrible business people running studios. Kathleen Kennedy, Kevin Feige, people that absolutely do not know how to run a film studio at all. Because there's no other reason for the budgets, the amount of money that these two idiots wind up pissing away on these projects, where they have to shoot things 2 and 3 times over because they were too lazy and too stupid to do it right the first time, like everybody else in Hollywood is expected to do. But Disney is now abandoning Georgia, taking livelihoods with it. Wham, wham, boo, boo. They're going to go to the UK. Why not? You know why? Cheaper labor costs, tax credits, cheaper labor costs. It's so funny. The guys like Bob Iger and all these California fruits out there that want to talk about the virtues of socialism and Marxism and labor unions and all this, when they actually have to pay the bill, the vastly overpriced bill for the retardedly overpaid labor union employees out there, they tuck tail and run off to Vancouver and to the UK and to other places out there. Yeah. Because they would talk about how, oh, yeah, SAG-AFTRA and this and that, and they really know SAG-AFTRA and the WGA are arguably that they're the ones murdering Hollywood right now, completely. The studios are just going to pack up and leave. And I'm not saying that one side is fair or right or wrong versus the other, but the reality is any business out there, when costs get too high and they can go do the same thing or even a better job somewhere else for a lower cost, it's going to happen 100% of the time. And that's what's going on here. This from the Wall Street Journal, get you guys' thoughts on this. Is kind of one of the last stories to hit this evening. Janine Gosselin started her entertainment industry career in LA, but it really took off when she moved to Georgia. Now that's where it's dying. Through the 2010s and early 2020s, the 62-year-old script supervisor had more work than she could handle, earned as much as $200,000 a year, and she sat alongside the directors of Marvel Studios productions like Spider-Man Homecoming and She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Can we just say for a minute, I don't think that it's fair to put those two shows in the same sentence with one another, like at all, just for the record. Ensuring that every detail stayed consistent between takes. Okay, I don't want to make jokes about that one. Marvel is one of many Hollywood companies that have shot in Georgia to take advantage of the state's generous production tax credits. It made nearly 24 superhero movies and TV shows in the Atlanta area. And that's true, at least in some part or another. But beginning with the summer's Fantastic Four First Steps, Marvel is making most of its upcoming content in the UK. Now, listen, it's been producing in the UK for some time. That ain't nothing new. I think part of the problem here is that, Brett, you know this, is that what did Feige talk about and Iger talk about recently? All the shit on Disney Plus failed. The audiences are terrible, so we're not making those shows anymore. Those shows, more than anything, are what was getting produced in Atlanta and Georgia. So I don't know. Well, I mean, it seems like that may have been the culprit there, but
there's always the Tyler Perry studio. That's in Georgia.
And he just stopped a bunch of movies.
Yeah. Well, he said he was going to wait and see what happened with AI. He's like, he halted production on like the growth of his studio, and he's a very wealthy dude because of everything that he's produced. I mean, we knew this was going to happen. I saw Fran Drescher isn't seeking re-election to the as union head or whatever. Like everybody knew that this was going to be the fallout of the of the strike in 2023. Even somebody who has no clue how business works knew that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Whether they were right or not, the timing was terrible.
Yeah. And California is trying to do has been trying to do the same thing with Newsom, trying to bring people in with meager amounts that they can't get people to buy back into producing there. You guys remember that clip from a couple of years ago of like Rob Lowe, and he was on like a podcast and he was talking about how it was cheaper to film a reality show or a game show in Ireland than it was here in the US on the back lot at one of these studios. So they would fly the contestants to Ireland to film the show rather than just film it here because of how expensive it is.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me one bit. And it's
not going to change.
No, it's because of all the labor unions and whatnot. And the problem is that as soon as they see, oh, there's a gravity shift moving to Georgia, guess what the labor unions want to do? They want to go over to Georgia. They want to invade Georgia and create all of the same problems there that they've screwed up in California. So finally people are just like, we'll just leave the country altogether and piss on all of you. Yeah.
Chicago had for a long time had a fairly good tax credit program, if I remember correctly. That's why all of what's his name? Dick Wolf's shows are made in Chicago now.
Yeah. Yeah, the Law and Order guy, which takes place in New York, but they still use Chicago.
Well, no. He has Chicago Fire, Chicago,
that's right.
New York still, a lot of shows are still actually shot in New York because it's one of those things that for years they would try to shoot stuff in Toronto and pretend like it was New York, and it never really held up as well as shows that actually bit the bullet and paid the money to film there, but it's expensive everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, there's other problems too. You know, like you read this paragraph here next in the article. Marvel's departure, says the Wall Street Journal, says it's part of a nearly 50% drop in production spending in Georgia in the past 3 years. Damn, that's a lot.
Where were those Spider-Man leaks coming from? That was the UK, right?
Yes.
Okay.
My understanding is that was UK.
Yeah, of course it was.
Yeah. And I mean, look, the timing of those leaks was so hilarious because, I mean, the minute Fantastic Four hit its second weekend and collapsed by 67%, all the Spider-Man leaks magically started appearing that day. And then we had like a solid week every day. We had 2 videos of behind-the-scenes Spider-Man leaks.
New photos every day, photos of John Bernthal. Plus, they're like, hey, look at us. We're not in a soundstage.
No, Marvel had to get that disaster, that Pedro Pascal disaster off the front page. But look at the precipitous decline in Georgia has raised questions about whether state subsidies built a, quote, Hollywood of the South or sparked a gold rush that's ending faster than it began. You feel like a jilted lover, says Goslin, who hasn't had steady work since February of last year and borrowed from her retirement plan to pay bills. Ouch. Because, that's so you get early withdrawal penalties and you get income taxes on that. Or no, they said she's in her 60s, right? So at least she doesn't have the penalties. She's been studying to become an intimacy coordinator. Oh, God.
Damn.
Oh, God.
Well, she knows where the market's going.
I mean,
there's
really,
always a job for that.
She's making $200,000 a year doing whatever she's doing, and now she was like, "I'm going to become She's 62. She's going to become an intimacy coordinator.
It's just awkward.
It sounds a little weird. I mean, they use those intimacy coordinators in like the Acolyte in weird stuff like that.
It's what they use. It's basically the HR department's like extra arm to make sure they don't get sued for some actor getting handsy.
Let me start out by saying this. If I offend anybody today, I don't give a shit.
There's so much I want to say. Oh, God, these intimacy coordinators. You know, the other problem with Atlanta is that it's a dump. It's a dump. The whole city's like one big ghetto, and I'm sure they probably just don't want to be there anymore. It may also be part
Atlanta is a FedEx hub.
Yes, maybe the only thing going for it.
That is the FedEx hub. You go there to visit how FedEx works.
That's right.
It's like Universal.
Also, Atlanta is the other hub for Southwest. That and Houston. You have to go through one of the two. Some 245 projects were shot in Georgia in the fiscal year that ended in June. So going back to earlier when we talked about, these states have a limited amount of tax credits they make available in a given fiscal year to these production entities like Superman, which got a bunch of money from Georgia. They also got some money from Ohio, right? They spent about $100 million, about 18 million in Ohio, and they spent about 82 million, 85 million in Georgia when they were filming the movie. So they got some of those limited, amounts of tax credits. And you can see here how it built up. Look at 2015. You look at 2018. That's when Infinity War and Endgame. There was a lot being shot in Georgia for Infinity War and Endgame. Not a ton, because they did do a lot of those. They did do a lot of that production also in Pinewood in the UK, which is why they got a big, which is how we know they spent $1.3 billion on those 2 movies to produce. Because they shot a lot of it in the UK. But they did do a lot of the scenes, like in the beginning, I think when they were in the park, outside in the city and all that. They did a lot of shooting on location that was in Georgia, where they did the Spider-Man movie. But across the U.S., 29% fewer movies and TV series with budgets above $40 million started filming in 2024 versus 2022. So what that tells you right there is you've got these TV shows and you've got these movies a lot of them smaller budget. Think a lot of these things that are probably going to Netflix and direct to streaming and whatnot, they're doing it here because smaller budget direct to streaming, as Paul correctly pointed out, the minute you do something for theatrical release, the cost of the labor union contracts and everything goes up significantly, as opposed to a TV show or as opposed to a streaming show.
It's even worse if you have a favorite technical person in LA that you want to bring out to Georgia.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of rules around that, which are absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, Hollywood is killing itself.
Yep.
It's not acting very, as a Canadian, you Americans have you're not acting very entrepreneurial when it comes to keeping these things that you invented.
Yeah.
Going. Although a lot of these things that were invented in the United States and Hollywood were actually invented by Canadians, like Mayer, the comedies by oh, my brain's gone. Yeah, a lot of studios were actually created by Canadians.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. But here's the problem in Georgia. It's the labor costs. Surprise, surprise. In Georgia.
Oh, they're going up in Georgia?
This is why all the productions are leaving Georgia. In Georgia, the mood among movie and TV workers is grim. While filming the game show 25 words or less in Atlanta earlier this year, staffers sang alternative lyrics they devised for the Made in Georgia jingle that plays at the end of shows that are shot there.
Yep.
Unemployed in Georgia is what they're saying. Lee Thomas, director of the Georgia Film Office, said labor costs are the biggest factor that has driven studios out of the state. We hope that this is an anomaly where they'll try out other markets and will return to Georgia because they have faith in our crew and facilities
Not
and our
likely.
tried and true. So yeah, this is, I mean, translation. Ready? Watch. 3, 2, 1. Bullshit, 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 bullshit,
Yep.
bullshit, bullshit. They're not coming back. They're not coming. They don't care, or, you know, well, they hope they come back for the quality of our work and our people. They're not. You know why they're not going to come back? Because by the time they would want to, all of y'all will be unemployed and will have moved on to other careers, and there will be no industry left. You price yourself out of the market when you can go to Vancouver, when you can go to the UK, when you can go out of country, and even if the labor costs are not that much better, but they're better enough to make a difference, A, and B, when you're getting a richer pool of film tax credit benefits from these foreign countries like the UK and Canada.
Canada. Like, why wouldn't you just go to Canada, who's been one of the major hubs for television for the last 30 years, 40
Do you have
years?
an idea how many American productions, movies and television are being done in Vancouver?
Almost all
principal
of them.
Well, Toronto too. Toronto is
Toronto,
completely,
yeah.
Toronto's jammed. I mean, Pinewood Studios in Toronto, which has a direct connection with the Pinewood.
It's the same company.
UK.
Yeah,
same company. And so they know what they're doing. They know how to fill the studios. And you've got the 65 cents on the dollar, gang.
Yeah. I'm going to Canada for my honeymoon, and we're going to go to visit Hatley Castle, where Smallville was filmed for.
That's in Calgary.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, all the strikes that they did, you know, SAG-AFTRA, WGA. I mean, IATSE wanted to get in on it. And I mean, look,
dumb.
Yeah, it was stupid. There's a limit to reality out there. You don't need a writer's room of 8 talentless, worthless DEI hires to run a show. You don't need to spend $100,000 equivalent a year for a fucking gaffer. I'm sorry, you just don't. I mean, I'm sorry that some of these people live in California, and that's where movies are made. I'm sorry that California is a dumpster fire. I'm sorry, it's a shithole. It is a shithole. It's the most expensive shithole in the country. But the fact of the matter is that these companies, if they can't detach themselves and leave California, like Warner Brothers and Disney and Paramount and all this, it's not so easy to just pack up and leave. Right? There's so much physical infrastructure, the studios, the backlights, all that kind of stuff. They could unincorporate in California and go somewhere else. You know, if Disney had a lick of sense, it would incorporate. It would not, not have the hub of its business in California.
No,
Most of
they
these
tried.
companies,
They screwed that up. They were actually in the business on their way to moving it all out to Florida until they did the EV Reed or whatever that property bullshit thing that they
Reedy Creek.
called?
Reedy Creek.
Reedy Creek.
Yep.
They basically shot themselves in the foot.
Yep. Well, that's what I'm saying is like now you have Paramount, you have Skydance. Don't be surprised if you see David Ellison like fast track getting Paramount the hell out of California. I mean, at least, I mean, they might still they'll have a studio out there. They'll have all those facilities, but in terms of where the corporate entity is formed, I mean, why would you stay in California?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's California, Gavin Newsom, all the deep blue, left-wing stuff out there. They've priced themselves out of the market.
Well,
Georgia's no different. Atlanta is no different. And that's an extension now of California. That's an extension because all the unions are out there. It's an extension of the same trash that has sunk California. So now it's leaving Georgia as well. I'm sorry, Brett.
What's up?
Oh no, I thought you were about to say something there.
No.
Okay. So yeah, I just it's kind of the end of the line here. There's a little bit more to this story just to kind of wrap this up. A few years ago, Atlanta was such a hotbed of production that it seemed possible it would supplant Los Angeles. John Grubb made so much money working as a grip on, and I get there's a lot going on with grips. I get that. On 6 different Marvel projects that he calls the $350,000 Atlanta area home where he lives with his girlfriend, the house that the Avengers bought. Yeah, Georgia's entertainment boom began after it expanded its production with a tax credit in 2008 to a maximum of 30% of eligible expenses, obviously. One of the most generous in the world. And it is. It is. Unlike other states, it didn't put a cap on the program. This is very different. Okay, like there's a cap in Ohio. There's a cap in Louisiana, right? Because hey, we don't have unlimited tax dollars to just literally dedicate into this program. Georgia didn't have a cap. So this is why it became because that's why all these big $200, $300, $400, $700 million Avengers production budgets showed up in Georgia to do a lot of work is because they could spend whatever they wanted or needed to, and there was no ceiling on the film tax credit they could get for what they were doing in Georgia. UK is not terribly dissimilar. I don't know if there's a cap, but most other states have an annual cap because the state legislatures have to budget for it. But what's apparently happened here is simple laws of economics is that even with the most generous film tax credit in the business. Okay. Oops, my camera just freaked out. Oh, because my fan went off. Even though they have the most generous film tax credit in the country, it doesn't matter because the costs of their labor has gotten so bad that even the most generous film tax credit in the country cannot overcome those onerous costs. That's how bad it is. Now, Georgia could turn around tomorrow and say, okay, we're going to up our film tax credit to 50%. They won't do that. They'll go to 50%. Then maybe people will start moving back. But you know what happens when they do that? The labor market is going to jack their rates up because of that. It's a never-ending cycle. So that's why a lot of these studios, it's the same thing about, it's the same reason why raising the minimum wage never, ever works. Because, yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, guess what? Big Mac combo back in 1992 was like $3.50 at McDonald's. You know what the minimum wage was in New Orleans back then? $3.50. You know what happened by the time the minimum wage in New Orleans was $7.50? Big Mac combo was $7.50. The point is that there's only, it's you're chasing your tail. It's a dog chasing the tail thing. And that's what's going on here in Georgia with this story. They're never going to be able to climb out of this. The industry is going to have to basically collapse or the unions are going to have to leave. They're going to have to de-unionize whatever labor that they have there is and go back to, a normal free market system here. Otherwise, it's not coming back. You know, it's like, okay, what good is 100% of nothing?
Yeah.
Nothing, congratulations. You got 100% of nothing. That's what it's looking to happen. It's surprising, but there we are.
Yep.
So, get this fan back working again. Here we go. I forgot we had the power outage earlier. I didn't realize my cooling system for the fan had gone off, or the cooling system for the camera had gone off. It's right up against the wall. So, any case, gentlemen, any thoughts there on that one? Or we're gonna wind it down.
Oh, I know you had to hop off. Do you have anything you wanted to say before you hop off?
You're muted, Paul.
This is an important discussion. We're in the middle of a massive revolution that we don't know how it's all going to play out. The streamers have destroyed network television. Network television destroyed themselves. My biggest interest is comedy. The comedy pipeline, the AAA farm team of television, where you had sitcoms, writers, directors, producers that then went on to movies, has all now disappeared. It's one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of movie comedies. But this AI thing is going to be a boon for a lot of guys. It'll be mostly guys, because comedy is always guys, because we're assholes and jerks and we do stupid shit and we say terrible things. And that's where comedy comes from. And we will see what happens on the AI front. It's that is probably where it's going to have its biggest effect, maybe apart from porn. Next will be comedy, because porn is usually the first to adopt technology, and
it's true.
It's true. I mean, I think one of the things that needs to be done is Hollywood has to get together with the people who are making decisions, and they need to calm down how all this streaming stuff works. I don't like kicking out of Paramount to then go to my Netflix show, quit the Netflix app, go to the Apple app, quit the Apple app.
Yeah.
It's not like surfing. It's not like when you had cable and you just sat there on the couch, you went click, 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 click. There's no such surfing in this world. They really need to consolidate. It was much better when it was just Hulu and Netflix, and that was it. And that made a terrific amount of sense. Hollywood has made the user experience, whether it's TV, whether it's going to the movies, whether it's finding a movie that you want to see, they have made it the very worst experience ever, and they've made it more expensive.
Yeah.
So this all has to be solved. I don't know who's going to do it, who has the cojones to do it. It's an absolute complete mess. So that's really my final thought on all of this. And this Georgia stuff is just one piece in this crazy puzzle, as people are trying to both figure things out and also dominate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to give up their chance to be second place to Netflix. So anyways, I will leave you, gentlemen. Brett, a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure to meet you.
And Valiant, as always, you're very valiant.
I try. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate you being here, man. We'll get together again soon.
It was fun. Bye.
All right. Take care. Getting the last little bit of this article that I thought was interesting here. Oops. Speaking of Apple News, Trilith chief executive Frank Patterson said he believes the current downturn is a cyclical one that will end. I'm thinking you
like he means that this is just they're gonna all come out the other side of this in better shape than they are now.
I don't see. I mean, help me understand that one, Frank. To keep the facility busy until then, his company has invested in startups making content exclusively at Trilith. It's going to settle into some kind of new normal in 2027, he predicted. Meanwhile, back at the farm, we will have been creating other opportunities. So this is one of the guys involved in the industry. I guess, they talked about it up here. See, Marvel did most of its interior shooting. Sorry, I should have gotten this first. At a 1,000-acre, 34-stage facility near Atlanta called Trilith Studios.
Okay.
It was frequently full, fighting over stages on a daily basis because there wasn't enough room for Marvel and whatever other show was trying to film. Okay. Now, Trilith, which has a village with apartments and restaurants for visiting workers, is largely empty.
Wow.
And that's what they're talking about. It's like, it's not the people running Trilith are like, it'll be fine. We'll be back. You got 1,000 acres, 34 studios. I mean, you've got billions of dollars invested in this. And the business is leaving. And once it goes, and I mean, like they understand, we'll get back to new normal in 2027 or some kind of, we'll get back. When Disney books Pinewood Studios, Warner Brothers, and all these other companies, they're booking years in advance. You have to. There's limited space. Whether they're booking Pinewood in Canada or they're booking Pinewood in the UK or Shinfield or whatever, when they're booking these facilities, it's way out. And they book them, and we were talking about this earlier, they'll book, like probably, I would guarantee you that Disney probably has bookings at Pinewood for the next 7 years for movies they haven't even thought up yet. They just book the space, you know? So to say that they're magically like 2 years from now, they're just going to come back into Georgia, that is not happening.
No.
Not at that scale. I don't understand the thought process here. I think it's just a fool's hope. Seeley of Trilith remembers the moment during production of February's Captain America Brave New World, aka Captain Falcon DEI, when word spread among anxious crew members that it might be Marvel's last movie in Georgia. Interesting. The studio then held an auction to sell props that it had accumulated during its decade in the state.
Wait, why did they sell the props? That's what I want to know. Are they that hard up for cash, or was this going to charity?
Well, a lot of times, I mean, they want to they don't want to store them. We have nothing. I mean, we're not talking about like, Cap Shield. I doubt, Brett. It's probably like the coffee table that was at the end of the sofa in an episode of WandaVision. Like what are we going to do with this?
Like that, you can just tell people you have that. Nobody's going to go and fact check you.
Right, exactly. I bought WandaVision's coffee table.
Everyone's like, no, you didn't. It's like, oh yeah, yes, I did.
Look, see right here. It says they auctioned it. I bought it. No, but I mean, this is the kind of thing that we're dealing with. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. And we had this story here. I know I'm not going to get into this, but let's just because we don't have time. But this was fun. It talks about, man, Sony really wishes they had this ball back. They really, really wish they had this ball back at this point.
So what happened with that? They sold to Netflix, and now Netflix keeps all the money?
Yeah. Like when it goes to theaters for the sing-along, all the music, all the stuff on Spotify, all going to Netflix. Sony don't get shit. I thought Sony might still have the music rights. Apparently, I don't think they do. So it's all like they may be doing distribution for some of it, but it's all the money stays with Netflix. So the issue is, what do they do with the next movie? And there's some debate in the contract of whether or not Netflix was going to have a right to it. To say like, no, we want it exclusively for Netflix. I think Sony is probably going to be able to hopefully be able to go to theater or theatrical first, or at least in tandem with Netflix with the next one. But I mean, you're talking about a franchise here. Netflix paid about $120 million for this. It cost Sony $100 million to make.
Okay.
Sony spent $100 million. Netflix kind of gave them the standard deal they have with Sony, basically cost plus 20%.
So they got, so they made $20 million on it.
20 million is what Sony got paid as a turnkey product. They made a profit on it. Obviously, this thing was worth way more than $120 million. Now, of course, nobody knew that.
Yeah, I mean, they take that chance all the time, right? Like they sell something off to.
Part of it's the deal they have. And this is what this article kind of goes into, some interesting behind the scenes stuff. But talking about here, part of the deal, Sony says we make movies, they go to theaters, and then they go to Netflix for streaming, right?
Yeah.
Part of the deal is Sony has to make a handful of different projects that are for Netflix exclusively, that Netflix will still pay for, in addition to the streaming rights for Sony's theatrical fare. K-pop Demon Hunters. I pulled up an article from 2023, I think last weekend to show it. They were talking about how there was a musical anime, a K-pop anime that was going to be coming that Tom Rothman and Sony was working on for Netflix. That was 2 years ago. Now we know which one it was. It was K-pop Demon Hunters. But it just goes to show, and that's what this is the lament of, oh man, Sony wishes they had this one back. That they could have picked a different one. Now, would K-pop Demon Hunters would it have done $2 billion at the box office like the Netflix viewership would tend to suggest? No. It's not going to do that. It's going to be interesting to see, because the theaters right now with these limited screenings for the K-pop Demon Hunters sing-along, they've already sold out. And the theaters are begging Netflix to let them do more, to book more screenings. Yeah. And again, Netflix is as stubborn as a bucket of mule shit as they are when it comes to theatrical. I'm hoping this, will teach them a little bit of a lesson here. But they need to be able to do something with this. But it goes into kind of the story of everything, the theatrical question. Would K-pop Demon Hunters have actually been a hit in the same way? No, but I mean, you look at the trajectory here. It's going to be the biggest movie on Netflix of all time, probably in the next 2 weeks.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's in the number 2 position right now. Number 2 biggest film, not animated film.
What's the biggest movie of all time for them?
Still Red Notice, believe it or not.
Wait, okay. The one with Ryan Gosling, or I'm with Ryan
Reynolds
and The Rock.
Yes. 200.
Even me, who loves the slop, that movie was slop.
That movie was slop. But here's the thing, though. 230 million global views for that, though, Brett. I mean, and that's what K-pop Demon Hunters is about to pass up.
Damn.
And it's we're gonna see what happens with the next iteration. I'm sure, and this is gonna be the trick, is what kind of deal Sony can work with Netflix now on this. And I think they will come to an agreement, because again, the Sony is more than just one movie. That's a big studio partner for Netflix. And I think they will come to some type of agreement on the next one. Otherwise, I mean, if you're Sony, you're gonna want to try to force them. I don't know when the next contract renewal comes up, and that's just it. I don't know if Sony has to play ball again on a sequel, but now they're talking about stage plays, sequels, TV shows, whatever's baked in there.
Yeah,
you can almost bet that Sony is definitely going to be looking for a bigger paycheck next time around. This is where it stands right now in terms of top 10 for the week.
Wow.
25.9 million, and they've been pulling that number now for 8 weeks, whatever the hell it was. Something's crazy. Happy Gilmore 2 is still killing it. But if you look here, I want to show you this. Go to let's not just look at the week. Let's go all time. Red Notice. 230.9 million views globally. 230 million views. K-pop Demon Hunters now at 184. That number hasn't been updated yet. It'll get updated probably tomorrow, Tuesday, and it's going to be over 200. It'll be over 200 million. So it's going to be, like I said, in the next 2 weeks, it's going to overtake Red Notice as the biggest thing on Netflix in the history of Netflix.
And I'm sure that Red Notice cost more to make. A lot more.
I'm sure they probably spent $100 million just paying those 3 actors to get into that movie. I don't know what Netflix paid, because remember, they pay a turnkey thing. It's like, we're going to make this exclusive. What's the budget? Well, the budget for this is going to have to be $150 million. Okay, we'll give you $200 million. No risk, cash. That's what happened with Electric State and. With the Russo brothers made that. That's why it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that movie cost $300 million. It didn't, though. It didn't cost 300. It probably didn't even cost 200 million, but it's the Russo brothers. Netflix pays them all that profit up front to get the movie forever. They own it. It's theirs.
I haven't heard of like any of these things that are on the Netflix top 10 right now. Like,
no. Carry On was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Carry On was great. Like that was a lot of fun last year.
Yeah, Don't Look Up was fun. Adam Project, I actually really liked.
I
although-
really liked that one as well. I think that was an underrated movie.
Yeah. I haven't watched. I don't think I've watched anything else on there.
The Gray Man was slop. If you like, I mean, that was I think Gray Man was another Russo brothers one, or was that Citadel? It was one of the two, but
Don't remember.
It was fine. I mean, it was like literally it was the definition of a streaming movie. I forgot it 8 seconds after it was done, but for the most part,
Yeah,
it was fine.
I got you. All right, let me catch up on some of these super chats. Appreciate y'all's patience. Heath Nielsen for 2. Valiant Breathe. You went on a tear. I know. Thanatos Felicitas for 13 months. Here is my member chat. And Snarky for 5. Did you call them gay? Jay and fellow goobers for the Tard live on YouTube. Okay. Thank you, Snarky. Benjamin Logan for 2. Hey, a Benjamin is here, and that was followed by Snarky's big $100 super chat earlier. Appreciate all you guys. JJ Gosling for 2 British pound sterling. This makes me ashamed to be British. Defund the BBC. Yeah, glad we had Ron Coleman in here earlier to talk about what was going on over there. Bass player for 5. Aren't lawyers supposed to be really good at explaining things so you can win arguments? Yes, that's why we're glad we have Ron. Unfortunately, the other side legal team, maybe they weren't so great at explaining things. Araxis for 2. Hi, Ron. Paul, thoughts on the Alberta independence? I'm sorry I missed that one earlier, Araxis. I will pass that along to Paul Chato. He probably would have gone into like a 30-minute thing on that subject alone. So I will definitely pass it along, dude. Rio Hiyoshi for 2. Guess the UK didn't learn from the War of 1812.
Valiant, I got a question for you. Have you been getting some crap with because you wear the SIG hat since the P320 is now a danger to everyone around them? Have the Glock fans come for you?
No. I mean, there are people in the chat who like make jokes about Valiant. Are you okay? Do you like? I've never owned a 320, so I have no point of reference. Like I don't have a 3. I have a 365. I've got 229, 226. I've got rifles and stuff
hammer
like that.
Fire.
But
if you're gonna get SIG, get hammer fire.
Yeah, I mean I love my 229 for that.
Yeah.
But I've never owned a 320 actually. Never have. So when I heard the stories, I'm like, that's so weird. That can't be right. And then I was like, oh no, it's actually really
no.
going on.
Those videos were crazy. I mean, but I remember those stories from like a couple years ago that was already a problem, and then it got worse with the last line of manufacturing or whatever it was.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there. I couldn't tell you this, like I said, and I didn't pay that much attention to it because I didn't own one. I'm like, I have several. That the 320 was kind of never on my list because I had other versions. So again, I was kind of out of it. But I get it. Kanan Barnes says, hey, VR and esteemed panelists. Glad to join you all from Epic Universe. Very nice. Just noticed they've got an LED light issue similar to Epcot. I've got a video footage. If y'all would like me to share, let me know. You send it to me. I don't know much about. I'm gonna be down there in a couple of months. I think, beginning of October. So y'all stay tuned for that. I'll let y'all know. Benjamin Loken, I still say that this is better than the sequel trilogy for the Star Wars thing we played earlier. Yeah,
I saw that.
Jacob Foxfires says, while I'm glad free speech is over here is fine, they are still making attempts. The Roblox situation is proof and is pushing to make ID normal web-wide. Okay. I want to be clear. When you have a company like Roblox that's trying to not have a conversation about things that need to be talked about.
Child labor laws?
Yeah. There's a difference, but that's not the same thing as elimination of free speech. Okay. We're talking about governments. Governments can suppress you because governments have the power to put you in prison or kill you. Which may be the next thing that winds up happening in Britain for some of these people.
Especially if you go out jogging and if a woman is out jogging and then you go and you tell her she looks attractive, you're going to get arrested.
Yeah. Or God forbid you say, What is that racket at 7 in the morning? Talking about the Muslim call to prayer that they blast over British cities now. You get a visit from the police for complaining about listening to that at 7 in the morning, blaring out over loudspeakers over entire cities. No, there's a difference between somebody like Roblox or something trying to ignore a situation and a government doing something. The government thing, that's suppression of free speech. There's a big difference there. Snarky for $5. That's great. Tony the Tiger. JPS for $5. My God, what the hell is the NFL doing with their cheerleaders? They're hiring gay guys.
Yeah.
Really effeminate gay guys to dance around and act like the girls.
I think the people who might have been the most hard done by this are the male cheerleaders who are like the dudes who throw the women up and catch them, because those dudes are wild.
That's what I was saying on X earlier this week. I'm like, this is not the OG. Like, I remember the male cheerleaders in my high school, and we had girls that would be the cheerleaders and the dance team, because I was at an all boys Catholic high school.
Yeah.
So the guys that were on the cheer team at high school, they were there for pure physical brute force.
Yeah.
They had to pick the girls up, hold them up, launch them into aerials, and then be there to catch them when they came down so they didn't
The
snap
videos
their
of
neck.
that stuff are crazy. Like the
Like,
stuff those dudes have to do. This is not that.
No. We're talking about girly little fruity poo boys running around and shaking their hips and their butts and doing all the girl stuff. They're dancing with the exact same choreography as the girls. And again, cheerleading, they're not really cheerleaders on NFL teams. They're really more dance teams. There's a
Yeah.
big difference. It's choreographed, skilled dance, and you've got these guys out there that are doing girl stuff, effeminate men. NFL fans don't want to watch this shit. They don't. They don't belong in the teams. Nobody wants to watch this. Yeah. It's for the DEI people running the HR department at NFL teams or something. I have no idea. It's like, we need more gay and trans representation on the dance teams.
But I was told that there was a vibe shift because Donald Trump is the president again.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The NFL's been doing this for years. Like when they started putting
end racism.
Yeah. I mean, they started doing all of this. Well, let's start having really girly men join the dance teams. I mean, they've been doing this at the New Orleans Saints, that used to be called the Saintsations. Every year that the Saintsations would sell a lot of calendars. Let me tell you what they don't sell that many of anymore. Calendars. You know why? Because there's a lot of, flaming girly men that now prance around like the girls on the team. Nobody wants to watch it. Nobody wants to buy the freaking calendars anymore. But they want to play pretend that works for them. That's fine. Let's see, we got a couple left here. Jean-Michel Gauthier says for $5 Canadian. In the UK, the blob, or the permanent bureaucracy establishment, is so huge, it's choking the life out of the economy and politics. Source, UK Telegraph. Yeah, that's what we would call the deep state here in the US. Commonly referred to as the deep state. Basically, no matter who's in power, that's still who's running things behind the scenes. It
never goes away.
The unelected bureaucracy. You basically have to set up the world's biggest roach motel to get rid of them.
Can't get rid of them. I mean, like, even when they talk about if they were to go into the head of every federal agency and fire whoever's in charge at the top of the ladder, it doesn't matter, because they have trained infinitely more people that operate underneath them that hold the same values and owe the same favors to the same type of people. I don't think it is a problem that can act like it seems like one of those things. Like, who Mike Benz is? He does a lot of stuff talking politics, and it's just so insidious and it's so all-encompassing at every layer of our government that I don't feel that it's a problem that can actually be solved.
Yeah. I know. I feel like it. I hope to be wrong. I want to be wrong.
I would love to be wrong, but it's just like, you can't have a country like ours, which took, a very, very long time to descend into the level of corporate cronyism and corruption that we found ourselves at, and just find your way out of it in 2 elections. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Oh, well, you got a question here from Medmud for 10. Said, Brett's in the house. If you're still here, speaking of brands and symbols, can you give the panel a quick rundown of a certain skateboard company signage that Tim now owns? Okay, great and humorous story.
Oh, if I remember correctly, Tim, my boss, Tim Pool,
Yeah.
so the skateboard company Independent had a logo that was basically an iron cross, and it was very popular. I guarantee you've seen that logo, especially if you're my age and you're in your late 30s. And Independent let the copyright on the logo lapse, and Tim bought it up. So because it became politically incorrect to use it, because it was then attributed to Nazi imagery because of the logo. Tim bought it up and started using it again for his skateboard brand.
The Iron Cross. Yeah, I got you. Interesting. Lightning sketch for 5. It baffles me why Netflix keeps resisting wide theatrical release.
I mean, they don't need to split the money with the theaters. It's like right now, I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense for them.
Well,
I think for some of the others it does, but
I think the question becomes, when you split, I mean, it's money that they're not generating right now.
Yeah.
Is the money for Netflix? Are people going to cancel their Netflix subscriptions because they start putting things in theaters? I doubt it.
No.
99.9% of the cases, no. The whole point is, if they go theatrical, it could be an additional source of revenue not there. And they don't have to spend, $100 million budgets for marketing. And like I said, look at what Amazon is doing. And I think that may help change some of the conversation, is that if Amazon Prime exhibits some degree of success, like Apple just had a lot of success with F1.
Yep.
And you look at how F1 performed globally, right? It's less than 30% or so of the total box office, or around a little under 30% of the total box office came from North America. Most of it came from overseas. That's a lot of what Netflix's audience is. A lot of these big numbers that rack up for these movies and TV shows don't happen necessarily here in America. They're happening overseas. You look at Squid Game and everything else. I mean, it's big here in the U.S., but it's super huge elsewhere.
It's a reason why the superhero releases this year are doing so bad, right? Is they weren't able to really crack the overseas market like they would have wanted it to. Neither Superman nor Fantastic Four did well overseas at all.
Nope. And I don't think that's going to radically change anytime soon. I mean, you've got Avatar.
Why Jurassic World? It's why Jurassic Park movies make money, right? Because it does mediocre to okay here, but then foreign markets eat it up. Though that movie should have made $1 billion. That is still, even at like the highest box office of the summer, whatever it is, at like $800 million, a Jurassic World movie not making $1 billion is still not good.
No, and I said we talked about that before it came out. I said, you looked at the data. You go back to 2016 with the first Chris Pratt Jurassic World movie, 1.6 billion. Then you went to Fallen Franchise or Fallen Kingdom,
that
1.3 billion, and then you went to Jurassic World Dominion, 1 billion. It's like it was dropping almost
Just
300 million every time. Yeah. So we're like, okay, this next Jurassic World movie is probably going to finish up around 700 to 750 million. It's a little overrated, it's a little bit better, but I was like, there's no way this is getting to $1 billion with the trajectory that these films have been going.
I wonder if it could have, if they had brought Chris Pratt back rather than switching out. Maybe, I don't know.
If Chris Pratt was in the movie, it stood a chance of getting to $1 billion.
Yeah.
I think that was part of it. It's like I said, the power of Pratt compels you. Lightning sketch for 5. I still wish Klaus had a wide theatrical release and saved 2D animation. And Snarky for 5. Cheers, the multiple M's hats on the wall, Brett.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm from Minnesota, so I have another wall with Twins hats, but Ken Griffey Jr. is my favorite baseball player of all time, so I collect Seattle hats.
Oh, there you go. Yep. And Snarky's a Seattle guy, so he's up there cheering for the Seahawks and everything else. So, all right. Well, that gets us all wrapped up. Brett, I appreciate you being here. Check you out tomorrow. What at 1 Eastern or no 2? Which
3 p.m.
time?
Eastern.
3
yeah,
Eastern,
guys,
2 Central. Okay.
If you wanna check us out, Pop Culture Crisis is live Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. You should come hang out with us. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Appreciate you being here.
Thank
Thank
you
you to the chat. And we're going to get on out of here. We'll see y'all Wednesday. Stay tuned.